And now on Who's Views, it's time to join JT, Paul, and Third Doctor Ian for the latest headlines.
It's Sunday, the 6th of July. It's 8 o'clock here in the UK. How are you? Good to see you. This is your big show. It's headlines from us here at Who's Views. Nice to see you all, everybody. Hope you are doing well. Hope you've had a lovely weekend. We have got, yes, another big show for you tonight because, as ever, we're the show that are going to be discussing the issues that affect the Doctor Who world. And it doesn't seem to stop. The show might have done, but all the things around it haven't. It's carrying on. The madness of it all. The entropy. Oh, there we go. So yes, lots coming up for you tonight because have you heard? Well, both Jodie Whittaker and RTD have been doing interviews. Not the best interviews in the world, but they've both been saying silly things again, especially him, RTD, the one that used to rule. Anyone else sick and tired of him, though? I am fed up of talking about him. I have to be honest. I wish he'd just go away. Why do they keep churning him out? You know, but anyway, we're going to be talking about him. And gosh, yeah, that's sad. It's sad, isn't it? And we're also going to be talking about Big Finish. No longer do they just have critics of their output to worry about, but they now have to also start looking towards their own fairly toxic, to use the current vernacular, fan base. Some of them are very nasty people. Not unlike you lot in the chat. You are all gorgeous. So thank you so much for joining us here on Who's Views. I'm with these two, Third Doctor Ian and Paul are with me. Here we are again then,
Hello.
gents.
Hello, how you doing?
Not bad at all.
What's going on?
There is a lot going on, a real lot going on. And as of such, I'd just like to say, as usual, a huge thank you to everybody that's been getting in touch this week. You know we love it. We really, really do. So thank you for your time and thank you for really getting, taking time to write an email or put a comment down on any of our shows. You can get in touch at whosviews1@gmail.com, or you can even put a comment down for us on any of our shows. I'd like to say thank you this week to Truth Is Up There, to Matt the Silent Wing Music King, to Crimpeline Doubloon, to Andrew Picard. Welcome to Who's Views. I was very, guys, when I saw that name, I nearly was like, Captain, my Captain, and all that. Sorry, Andrew.
Is he any relation at all?
Well, it could be. You never know in the future. But Andrew Picard,
yeah.
I'm sure he gets it all the time. Hey, that reminds me as well. Do you know the other week I actually met James Kirk?
Wow.
I met a real James Kirk here. He's from Edinburgh. Or was it Glasgow? Wow. One of the two. And I said, "Oh my goodness me! I bet you get all the jokes, don't you? Know the ribbon?" And he said, "Yeah." And it's not the worst of it because guess what my middle name is? And I said, "You're kidding me! It's not Tiberius." And he went, "No, it's Thomas." James.
So
Thomas
it's actually James T. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow.
And I said, "Oh, I know what your dad used to watch when he was little." And he said, "So do I."
Yeah. Here's having a laugh. Yeah.
So Andrew, I'll introduce you to this James T. Kirk if you like. We also say thank you and hello to a mysterious stranger, to Jim Hillis, to Michael Gibbons, Andy Gledhill, to Synth John, good name, Lance Uppercut III, to George Rainey, to Graham Dawson, to Lord Shemp S. Shempington, and Sean Brady, both of whom sent in, guys, articles for tonight's show. So thank you to them. Cool. To Mark Holes, to Jason G, to Rory Stange, to Eddie Day Riley, to Chris Stone, to Mark Graham Manson Gibson. And I'd also like to say, once again, huge thank you to Kirk Stacey. Because Kirk, as you know, he put together a lot of illustrations for us, of which I'm wearing my little thing here. That's me there. Ian, you've got yours on, haven't you?
Yeah, it's all bullets.
And we've also got, he sent us some little standees.
Yes, one minute.
So thank you so much, Kirk. Absolutely gorgeous.
They are wonderful, aren't they?
They're very professionally done as well, aren't they? They're lovely. They're really nice.
I'm hoping he takes requests because I want one of my wife or Sarah Jane. If we put them together, it'd be great.
Oh,
there we are. But there we are. This is my one.
Look at that.
Utterly superb. Look at that. What a likeness. What an incredible likeness.
Look at that. Yeah. That's weird.
I can't tell which is which. I know, it's indistinguishable with the original, yeah. It's only when you started moving again, I realised which one. It was, Yeah, the cartoon's more animated than me, to be honest.
So thank you, Kirk, once again. We've now got them on our t-shirts. I hope you can see those, Kirk. They look fantastic. I'm really chuffed with them. So thank you for that.
Now I've guessed what's in the post. Okay.
I know, yeah. I've spoiled alert. I've spoiled that for him now.
But I look forward to it nonetheless. Yeah.
Yes. Graham is saying to us, those are fab. Love them, gents. Steve Braddock saying to us, oh, look, they're great. And Duncan the Funky Evans is saying, all you need now is the Funko Pop figures. That means we've got square heads, though, doesn't it?
Coming soon.
Bubble, wouldn't we?
Could do that anyway, couldn't we, really? But no, thank you very much. She'll be in the devotion saying, wonderful, guys. Yes. And we are looking at a way right now for you to have, if you want these, to have these little cutouts. We're looking at those for you. So stay with us here on the channel. Oh, look at this. At Third Doctor. Kissy, kissy, kissy from Mrs. Lisa Peter. Look at that. No favoritism there.
Hello, darling.
But no, it's good to see you all. Lots coming up for you in the show tonight. So please get into the chat. Now, I want to warn you at this point, because it's fashionable. Some of the opinions in this show you might not agree with. Tough. Because that's what it's all about. It's called Whose Views. Isn't it, guys?
We're all entitled to an opinion. That's what matters. Yeah.
So
you can't shut us down. Yay!
Yeah. Although they might try. But that's what it's all about. If you disagree with us, then get into the chat and tell us why. Just want to answer this one from Edward. Hello, Edward. How are you? I'm going to be mentioning you in just a second. Are any of you guys buying Blackpool Remembered, A Visual History of the Classic Doctor Who Exhibition 1974 to 1985 book? Well, it's funny you should say that, actually, Edward, because here's one I made earlier. There. Yes, I am. So I'm going to be looking at this over the next wee while. I started to read it yesterday. But yeah, I'm going to be looking at this. So this is obviously the book by John Collier, designed and edited by Alex Storer, who's been a guest on our show, and featuring original slide photographs by Richard Lever. Some lovely images on the back as well.
Some great images, yeah.
Wonderful.
So, that's a great companion piece with Bed Weir's book as well, I would say.
Bed Weir's book is still available as well.
Yeah.
So I love anything like that. So those, I've had Bed Weir's since it came out, I think, and there's a new updated version of it, I think I'm right with that one. And then Blackpool Remembered as well. So yes, there you go, Edward. And speaking of Edward, I just want to say thank you very much, Edward. Because you saw a little picture of it here. But Edward recently celebrated his 40th birthday. 40th, you whiskers.
Young whippersnapper, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I remember 40 vaguely.
So do I, vaguely. It's a long time ago now, yeah.
I don't. I was in a club. But yeah. Anyway, Edward got his had his 40th, and look at his cake.
Oh, superb.
Wonderful.
So that's the 9th Doctor and the 16th Doctor. Superb. Excellent.
It's all being controversial already.
Yes, it is.
Guys, Andrew Picard is in the chat with us. So welcome, Mr. Picard. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, and he's saying, strap in. Here we go. Pardon?
Yeah, make it so, GT. Make it so.
But yes, I want to say thank you for sending that in, mate. Really good of you. So there we go. There's Edward's birthday cake from when he was 40, just a few weeks ago. There, lovely.
It's a shame to cut into, isn't it? Really.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember getting a police box shaped flat birthday cake for one of my birthdays, 10, maybe 11. It was around about Tom's time, so it might have been earlier than that. And it was fruit cake. And it was lovely. It was really nice, but it was heartbreaking when my dad cut into it. Oh, it's a shame we don't have any pictures of that. Georgia Donald is saying that cake is amazing. I hope it tasted nice as well, because that's the important thing, isn't it?
The thing is, JT, if you kept it, it'd be green by now, like that chocolate we talked about, remember?
Duncan Funky Evans is with us, Tony Farrell Stars is with us, and Rick Storm is saying, I love that this channel shares my and others' opinions as opposed to a lot of the shill streamers out there. Well, all opinions are welcome. Honestly, we don't want to be an echo chamber, but there are certain things, though, I think, Rick Storm, where because we have had an instance recently where somebody just announced they were going to unsubscribe because we were coming down heavily on a particular side of a war. I don't care. I'm not going to be supporting homophobes, am I?
No.
Think about it. No. And there's all these things that they're denying. We're going to be talking about that subject tonight, so brace yourselves. Digby, thank you so much for your super chat. Is it true that RTD, that the show prior to his return was too masculine and sci-fi orientated? Why on earth did he bring the show back in 2005? Well, I think lots of us are asking that bloody question these days.
Yeah.
You know, honestly. Yeah. We're going to be talking about it, Digby, in just a few minutes because he's done another ridiculous. It's a very shallow, hollow interview he's done, but we're going to come to that in a minute, so thank you very much. Hello Domgo. Oh look, Domgo's got a new logo.
I wish I thought of that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that, Domgo. That's good. That very nice. That look nice on the t-shirt, wouldn't it? And Noodle Arm saying if you travel back in time you can have the cake and eat it.
Oh, superb. That's the kind of timey-wimey you like, really, if it's got lots of
there's that saying. As was actually saying to us, it was a great cake. I didn't want to cut it open. I know, it's a shame, wasn't it? He's also saying it was amazing. I don't know, I'm sure it tasted lovely. Was it sponge cake? I like a bit of sponge cake every now and then. Really do. And Jack is with us saying, did anyone see that article by Doctor Who magazine editor that said the return is likely in at least 5 to 6 years off, and fans of the 2000 series will have to bring it back? We're going to be talking about that in this particular show as well, Jack. So stay with us. This is great. You're all on the same wavelength. And Mark Greaves, thank you so much for your super chat. My dad used to watch Sapphire and Steel. Lucky for me, I was already here because Sapphire Greaves would be stuck on the wrong side of history. There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Great series. Great series. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, I've said it before, it's not a big secret. We are going to be starting reviewing Sapphire and Steel when I get my act together. Simple as that. I've got lots coming up for you on the channel. Great to see you. Well, thank you so much. So yeah, let's get into, I want to actually show you these as well, because I want to say a huge thank you to Eddie Crosby, who's another one, guys, of our fantastic and numerous talents that we have joining us on Who's Views, subscribing and joining in with our chats, because look at this.
Oh, wow. Superb.
Invasion of the Dinosaurs and Invasion.
Yeah. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Pencils. Now, these are his art pads, everybody, as well. You know, I've cut around them a little bit, but I think you can still see that there is art pads. So they're original as art pad. If you think they're good of the mighty Pertwee and the wonderful, much missed Courtney, embrace yourselves.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. Very nice.
Aren't they incredible? And the one on the right there, look, he's put his paintbrush there to show you the scale, but also that it's painted.
Yeah.
Aren't we lucky?
Captured so much there. The likenesses are incredible.
Yeah.
Why don't they use these people for animations, for goodness sake, honestly? Yeah.
I like the one with Delgado is slightly stylized as well. And I like that. It works because he's got very angular features anyway, hasn't he? So it really lends itself to that style.
He's captured him though, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely stunning. I just love it. Absolutely love it. And congratulations. And thank you, Eddie, for sharing them with us. I really appreciate it.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's 50 odd years since Delgado passed away, and there's people still producing new artworks on him and the character that he played. You know, and not just doing it digitally, which is quicker. Actually, you know, putting pencil, ink, or paint to paper. It's wonderful.
It is, isn't it? And you know, and do you think anything from the last 2 years is going to have that impact in 50 years? Do you think they're going to be painting the
Jinx Monsoon?
Or Jinx? Yeah, they're not, are they? Let's face it, they're not.
No. Have to do it. We're going straight in the bin. I'm telling you that.
Yeah.
And 2073, somebody's not going to be saying, "Oh, look at my painting of Sacha Dhawan as the man." It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen at all.
It just isn't. No.
I think it's still going to be Pertwee and Tom and Roger Delgado and Nick. I think it's going to be the iconic ones still in 50 years' time. You know, because look how many fans over the years have painted Omega from the Three Doctors. That's the image that's still going to be around.
Yeah,
even though
nobody will be painting that Omega from a few weeks ago.
No one can remember it, Ian. That's the problem. So, and I don't think there's any. We've blotted it out of our memories. I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Third Doctor Andrew is saying fantastic. Yeah. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Peanut, is it? I don't know. Painting, I would say. It is, isn't it, Third Doctor? I knew you'd like that one as well. Terrified Monk is saying these guys are shills for classic and proper Who. Well, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's true. Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
What else we got here? Domgo is saying, oh, thanks, JT, because that lovely logo. You're very welcome. Nightman is with us. Hello, everyone. Hope you're all having a great weekend. Hope you're all right as well, mate. Good to see you. And Anthony Parkinson saying to us, guys, every interview RTD does now is an exercise in self-justification for the appalling mess he's made of it. I don't think I've ever seen a more arrogant, deluded man in my entire life. Well, I know what you're saying, but then I look at the people that follow him without question and the blooming deluded fan base that they've created. You know, they're all on the same page, aren't they? Really, they're all worried. And again, we've got a lot of that come to in the show tonight. So good to see you. Lots and lots and lots. Thank you very much for all that. With them looking at the amazing Legion of James with us saying those drawings are amazing. Stephen Braddock saying excellent, and of course Stephen's a good artist himself. Forbidden Man saying the great artwork. Graham saying fab. These are fab, aren't they? Just Mark Milford.
I don't know. It's a Doctor Who thing, isn't it? But when anybody says excellent, I have to, in my head, it's always the cyber leader from Earthshock.
Yeah. I was thinking the one, the Attack of the Cybermen, the bit in the sewer, excellent. He does all that, you know, when we're just the Doctor. That bit always sticks in my mind, particularly, I have to say, but yeah.
Yeah. A lot of appreciation there for you. So, yeah, again, Eddie Crosby, thank you so much. Take all that appreciation. That's all for you. That's in the chat there, including John Mason's there as well. All for you, but well worth it. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for sending them in to us. Really appreciate it. If you want to, you can. If you anything at all, whosviews1@gmail.com. I also want to say a huge thank you for our very quickly put together show that we did the other day, celebrating the release, of course, on the pre-orders of season 13 to Blu-ray. Yes, the collector's edition box set is out, well, at the end of the year, but it was available to pre-order now. Now, I'm using slight past tenses there because 2 of the sites have now reported that the pre-orders are now done and it's out of stock.
Yay! No surprise there.
Yes. Take that, RTD and Gapwa. But yes, so thank you so much. I'm glad you all enjoyed the show. It's done really well, but we were celebrating this brilliant classic season. Ian, you couldn't join us, unfortunately, because you had to work.
Yeah, I was gutted, unfortunately, because that is really something to celebrate, isn't it? And I think, like you say, some stores are saying it's out of stock. At least RTD can take great comfort in the knowledge that none of his stuff will ever be out of stock. Ever.
Yeah, it might go out of print.
Yeah, it needs to go out of print, but it'll never be out of stock.
Yeah. I couldn't believe, though, have we had an instance where the retailers have said, stop your ordering, we've sold out?
I'm not that I can think of, but it's probably a response to season 2.
I'd agree with you, Paul.
Yeah.
People were craving Doctor Who, and then this has come out and earned them a lot of money, I am sure.
They have to see that, though, don't they? You would hope. Come on.
Yes.
This is what there is still a market for, not that absolute toss that they've pumped out for the last few years. It's oh God, you'd think these people are supposed to have even accidentally have a business head amongst them somehow, but they just don't seem to get it, do they? They just genuinely don't.
No,
it's crazy.
Just Jordan saying to us, well, unless it's just discontinued. No, it's the limited edition, darling. So they have a limited edition of print. They tell all the retailers, you've got this amount, you've got this amount. So yeah, it's one of these things. It's like if you go to TK Maxx, if you don't buy it on the day, it's not there the next day. You know, you have to get it there and then. And I agree with Paul completely. I think it's because people were starved of good Doctor Who after that crap we saw the other month. And season 13 comes along with a superb Doctor, a superb companion. And there they go. And within a day, don't order anymore. It's out of stock. Amazing. Amazing. Nightman is saying classic is far superior to RTD2 Doctor Who. Of course it is. And Jack's telling you all, if you're interested, there's a few left at HMV. There you go. Okay. Forbidden Man saying to us, all power to everyone who has talent to create good Doctor Who artwork. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, if we can showcase it in any way, we will. Van Zan. Woo, Van Zan, how are you? Evening all. Hope you've had a fine weekend. Good to see you. And Sheila B in the devotion saying, whoa, out of stock. Up yours, RTD.
Couldn't put it better myself.
Sheila.
Yeah. Stephen Braddock is saying quite rightly that Doctor Who season 13 limited edition box set is still #1 on Amazon on 3 charts. As far as I looked last time round, 3 charts. It was #1 on the science fiction chart, because it is. It was #1 on the television thing, and I think it was Adventure. It was on as well. Still #1. But it always does that. It always goes to #1. So another hit for BBC Studios.
So it's under sci-fi, is it not fantasy like the current rubbish then? Yeah.
I think they do push it together, sci-fi fantasy.
Right.
I think it is there, but yeah. Jane Smith saying to us, bet it sold better than any of the Jodie or Shooty merchandise. The BBC take note. Well, it certainly did, because you can still get Shooty's second series, although it's down in the hundreds on the chart, whereas Tom Baker from 1975-76 is #1.
Yeah.
I bet it outsells Shooty's both his series combined.
Easily.
I would not doubt that for a second. I really do.
Bill Larry saying, I'm sure those stores will ask for a further print run. They'll wait. The BBC, as far as I'm aware, don't do that anymore because, of course, the standard edition comes out 30 years later.
If you're lucky, yeah.
If we're lucky. I'm still waiting for season 20. Any day now, BBC Studios. Any day now. The next standard release. Legion of James will be hopping mad with me as well. Any day now. The next standard release.
We were chatting about the season 13 extras on the chat, weren't we? And I don't know if you've seen this scene. There's a fantastic few photographs going around Facebook of an episode of the Generation game with an Invasion Cyberman in it. I don't know if you've seen them dotted about.
No,
but
I haven't, no.
They're doing a Star Trek spoof, and they have a Cyberman in it. And I think Brucey is dressed as Kirk in it, or Spock. I can't remember which one. But I'm hoping it's on the box set as a little extra of the time. So that'd be lovely. Yeah,
That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello to Stu Farrell. Email me, whosviews1@gmail.com. Thank you very much, Stu. And William Orlock's with us. Hi, Will. The successful sale proper Who should be a wake-up call for the BBC, but they seemingly won't hear it. I know, it's frustrating, isn't it? It really is frustrating. As we said to them on our show, they've got to start listening. Because I don't know if you've seen the extras, Ian, but they've shoehorned in the badly edited CGI inflicted thing that BC has done, and the Tales of the TARDIS thing, and we're convinced, aren't we, Paul? The audience that buys these limited editions and standard editions, proper Doctor Who, don't want that. So what's the point?
They don't even want it as a coaster, for God's sake. You know what I mean?
They're trying to just force their agenda. We will make you watch this. We will make you buy this. They'll probably even find a way of manipulating it so it counts as a sale of Gatwa merchandise. I'm sure they will do anything to try and lie that rubbish is successful.
There was an extra on the season 1 box set as well for Shooty. I saw in the list on Amazon. I think it's on there as well. So
yeah,
nauseating.
Yeah.
A lot of you are agreeing with us on the chat. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the show we did the other day. Mark Walker's just telling me, though, that it's available on Amazon again. Right. Oh. Okay. Interesting. So you
Amazon probably got a fright, didn't they? Yeah. So.
Well, what happened, of course, it was there, as I said the other day, it was there. And then the site crashed. It just crashed. And when I last looked on Saturday morning, I think it was, Paul, it still wasn't back. And I think the demand must have crashed the thing.
Yeah.
And they had copies. So if you're looking at getting a limited edition for season 13, get it. Just go and get it before it sells out, because it's going to be one of those, I think, that's going to go up and up and up in price. Yeah. And Mark Walker is saying to us, yes, Amazon just crashed. It's still available for pre-order. There you go.
I'm still surprised, JT and Ian, that actually they brought this out so close to season 7, because they're both cracking seasons, and it's like they're spoiling us now. It's probably, like I said, in response to season 2, but I'm glad we're getting it. But I was hoping they'll leave that one for later, for towards the end of the run, maybe. But
I think
that's the thing, though, isn't it? Sorry, that's the thing, though, isn't it? We just know that the good stuff is going to come to an end soon. It's like when they did the original DVDs, they strung them
Yeah.
out as long as possible,
Yeah.
just like they did with the VHSs and just like they did with the Target books.
Yeah.
We know it's a finite amount of stuff. At least it's just 26 years of stuff, at least.
Yeah.
But we know that our sort of like favorite little eras, everything up to 80 or whatever, certainly for me, is going to come to an end at some point, which is sad, but at least it's going to be there in such quality until they start bringing it out in holographic form.
Well, we
And
were
then
saying the other night,
again-
what will be next? What will be next?
Yeah.
You know, I hate to think. Anyway, Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat here. You can feel the love coming through the Who art. You can.
Yeah,
You could also
you can.
feel the love, if you want to say that. So from our show the other night where we talked about season 13, it was a joy. It was an absolute joy to talk about Doctor Who again properly. You know, just I was so happy after that show. I can't tell you. Hi, Danny Ringers. How are you? And hello to Moira as well. The BBC must have its head in the sand, says Moira.
Yeah.
It's got its head somewhere.
Yeah.
If it's extracted it from RTD's backside, it's probably just gone straight into the sand, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, there's nothing new about the BBC having its head in the sand. It's not been listening to the British public for decades now. What we got here from Craig. Hiya, Craig, how are you? I saw an advert on the BBC for itself tonight promoting Gatwa Who as family entertainment. You're kidding?
Really? My God.
Really? Yeah,
Why would you
family
expose
entertainment.
your
as-
kids?
Trading
that.
standards, folks. Trading standards.
Oh, honestly. Yeah. We're going to come to more on that in a second. Anyway, Stephen Braddock saying to us, JT, season 13 was selling well until you got a free Gatwa Barbie doll with each set. Now they've got rid of the offer, people are buying it again. Yeah, probably. And Connie is saying to us, hi team. Hi Connie. I'll be in the UK for a month next month. Any favourite Doctor Who shops or cosplay spots I should check out in London, Cardiff or beyond? No, quite frankly. Avoid Cardiff. No, no disrespect to anybody that lives near Cardiff. There's nothing there for Doctor Who fans because the experience has gone. They've got that stupid thing that they call Yanto's tomb or something. It's just a piece of wood.
Oh, the shrine.
Wasn't Barrowman and his husband there recently? I saw a
The last
picture.
couple of days, yeah, because John
yeah.
still has his flat in Cardiff, doesn't he?
Oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he rents it out to other showbiz people
Yeah.
who want to know him when they want a flat. But
Yeah,
listen, ooh, controversial. But listen, so Connie, don't bother trying to get down to Cardiff because there's no reason to go, really, I would say. Please disagree with me if you want to, everybody. In London, well, where can you go out in London? Well, you can go to Fortnum and Masons. It's quite nice. Claridge's is good. What else? Oh, for Doctor Who. No, because there's nothing going on with Doctor Who in London now at the moment, is there, guys?
You could go around and look at classic locations, though, couldn't you? You could do that.
You could do that, and of
Yeah.
course, you can go visit the Who shop with Alex and the team. You know, you can look that up, and the address is there, and how to get there on the tube. It's fairly easy. And when you go off the tube, you just turn right, and you walk all the way down this very long road. Don't dissuade yourself. Just go all the way down, and when you get to this great big English pub on the corner on the left-hand side, turn left and walk up, and it's there on the left-hand side of the road. There you go. But the Who shop is the big thing I would say to go and look at in London. There's nothing else, is there, guys?
There's
No,
a police
shopping.
box at Earl's Court as well, isn't there? That police box, isn't there? Yeah.
Not as good as the ones in Scotland, though, are they? But yes,
No,
there is
no.
one at Earl's Court. Yeah. And keep your eyes out because you might see
Or
unemployed.
the ones in Scarborough and Ripon in North Yorkshire as well. I'll just throw those in. They're not metropolitan boxes, but they still give you a thrill when you see them.
Yeah. Van Saan is saying to us, I feel Who needs to take a break in order to allow enough time for the public to miss it and for the writing teams to create something that might stand the test of time and not just push an agenda. We're all on the same page there, mate. You know, but as we've said before, BBC Studios are intent on getting this thing back onto the BBC screens sooner rather than later, which I'm like you, Van Zandt, that's a huge mistake. It needs to be rested for a few years to let the public get over it, especially after what we're going to be coming to shortly, because it's been through a lot, as have we. And Jack's saying there's a shop in London called the Who Shop. I hope it's still there. It certainly is still there. It's celebrating 40 years.
Wow.
40 years in business. So congratulations to Alex. Is it 41? It might be 40, 41. But anyway, you can go and have a look there and say hello to the team. There you go. And Matt is saying, I go to Cardiff for Ianto's shrine. Whatever for?
But some people apparently like Torchwood. I'm not quite sure why, but there we go. Everyone to their own thing. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Yeah, well, I suppose so. Yeah. But when you go and
Yeah.
see it, it's just a wall with loads of graffiti on it. Oh, come on. Anyway, yeah.
And
If
flowers and
you're
things.
happy with that, Matt, you go ahead. The Who Shop in London, says Domgo. Yes, look it up. The Who Shop. I think it's thewhoshop.co.uk. All the details are there, plus some use buses as well and tubes you can get down there. So it's worth going to see them. Say
East
that.
Ham, isn't it?
You? What?
Is it East Ham?
Yeah.
East Ham
yeah.
in London. I think,
yeah.
yeah.
And that pub that you pass there, which is a huge, big, proper corner London pub, is fabulous. Really nice pub. Anyway, I would recommend it. So after we did our show the other day, this was announced, of course. This is the Region 1 version of the Doctor Who season 2, which they call Tom Baker Complete Season 2, which I find very confusing.
Well, it's confusing because they want to compartmentalize the Doctors and have them in their own eras. That's why they do that, which is really bizarre, isn't it? Yeah.
It is really, because it's all a continuation of the original 26 years.
Yeah.
Why do they have to change everything for the foreign markets? I think, it doesn't need to be. They're not stupid. They know what's going on, especially Doctor Who fans. Cover doesn't look as good on that, does it?
No, it doesn't. But it's a different background. It's got the Tom title sequence, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, let's compare it to ours.
I don't think I prefer it, actually.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about the background, but even then, when we found out it was part of the Zygon energy thing at the back, I'm still not sure about the background. Tom looks great, and on Monsters are great in the center, but not sure about the background.
No, exactly. I'm not sure on the
It looks more, the background looks more like one of the Nestine spheres, I thought.
Yeah. It's a bit busy, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, you weren't sold on it, were you, Paul?
No.
I want to say a huge thank you to a lot of our viewers that I got in touch, because you're very, very clever, and you've got eagle eyes like the old Action Man, which is like this. You've got eagle eyes.
At the back, yeah.
And congratulations to you, because you lot noticed something I didn't. The use of AI. Apparently, that on the Doctor's collar is AI. I never noticed this, guys.
Neither did I. Just thought the quality was quite good. That's what I thought, But...
Yeah. So thank you to everybody that's got in touch over the last couple of days to say, have you seen this? They're using AI in the Doctor Who classic Blu-rays. And I don't know how I feel about that, actually. Why do they need to do that? What was wrong with the collar on Tom's? Why?
They're trying to enhance the picture quality. That's why they've done it, in order to make it kind of not be odd on a kind of big screen, high def telly. I don't know. I mean, that's probably why they do it. But yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was very odd.
I can't see I'll have to compare, but I can't see what would have been wrong with Tom's collar that would make them think fewer people will buy this unless we enhance it with AI. Because I don't think the sales would have been affected one jot. So unless it was, I could imagine them using AI to make his collar into like a rainbow color, because it's them, isn't it? But I can't see. I'd have to have a look at the original, but I can't see what the point would be.
Well, as I was saying, and thanks again to everybody, including the Thing King, who got all this out to us, and Joey Boy. Thank you so much, mate, for everybody that got in touch with this sort of thing. Send me these details. We've had this thing around since 1976. We've had it on video. We've had it on DVD. We've seen it at conventions. None of us were that desperate to look at this stuff, were we? I mean,
it would be more appropriate, though, wouldn't it, if it was the Android Doctor and they had, because I bet the Android version always cracks me up. The bit where the Doctor fights with his Android self, and he loses his hat and he picks up the fake one and then chucks it away and picks up the other one. It would make more sense if there was the Android Doctor's costume that had been enhanced, because that's not real. You know what I mean? So, like the trees,
Terrified Monkey saying, after seeing the AI now, I'm convinced to buy it. Marie UK, I hate AI. I'm not a technophobe, but I find AI pointless and scary. I find it scary as well. Call me a technophobe if you like. I don't care. I think it's dangerous if not used correctly. I mean, we've talked about some of the good stuff about it, which I quite enjoy. But I am still very worried about security implications across the globe. And shoehorning people into things where they weren't. But look at this. This has come from some of the viewers as well. This is from Mark Ayres himself. SD episodes are upscaled to HD using a Terranex converter. An AI upscaling process is also mixed into the output at very low level. It adds a tiny bit more detail without the plastic nature of full AI, with the emphasis on artificial upscaling. Then somebody else obviously asks him another question. He comes back saying, it's a bit cleverer than that. A quality upscaler will interpolate extra pixels rather than just multiplying them. This gives the illusion of greater detail.
A Teranex converter sounds like something the Daleks might use, doesn't it? Honestly,
It does, doesn't it?
pretty
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, it's all going over my head.
Yeah, me
Which
as well.
I mean, it's very easy to do because A, I'm not interested, but B, because I just don't get it. But I just think, for the sake of certain things,
Yeah.
That collar, though, that when you look at it like that,
yeah,
that does look artificial. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that's supposed to be more realistic. It looks like a cartoon character's hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish they just, it worries me to an extent that they're using these things in the original episode. We want the original episodes. That's the whole point. We want them. Yes, we want them nice, upscale them. That's fine. No problem with that. But don't mess around with them. Don't touch all the colors. Don't touch everything with AIs. Please just give us them. It just shows you, as Bedweer actually said to me, keep your DVDs.
Yeah.
Keep your VHSs.
Oh, yeah.
They're the originals.
Yeah.
Don't trust them. And he's right, isn't he?
I mean, it wasn't AI because it was too long ago, but I didn't object when they took out the bus moving in the background of Dalek Invasion of Earth, because that would have jolted you out of the story. If you'd noticed it nowadays, they probably accepted it in the 60s, but it would jolt you out of the story. The Daleks have been in control of Earth for at least a decade, and there's not going to be a bus route that's still running, is there? So to see a bus moving in the background of certain scenes would be a bit jarring, and taking that out, I'm fine with, to be honest. But it's a very, very, very fine line, I think. Between,
I'm really annoyed they took out the Zarbi bumping at the camera and took out that sound as well. That was really annoying.
Yeah.
That's such a great moment, Yeah.
It is a great moment. Yeah, it really
Yeah.
is. Why use AI for silly stuff like that, says Sliver Wolf. Domgo is saying Terranex
because
is not
they
something to do
can,
with Zelda.
isn't it? It's because they can, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like the question to that, or the answer to that age-old question: why does a dog lick its bollocks? Because it can.
Because it can.
And they're doing this just for the same reason.
It also suggests to me that yet again they're using Doctor Who to experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Use
those
AI on the Gatwa stuff to see if they can make it not shit.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
your
better
polishing
tech.
a third Ian, and that's not
If-
possible. Is it?
if you look at those abominations they did with the Daleks and the War Games,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
thank God we're not getting another one, honestly.
Mm.
Jack is saying, I'm using RTX Upscaler to watch classic Who Blu-rays in 4K real time. It's actually amazing. Jack obviously knows far more about it than I do. Thank you, Jack. Van Zan is also saying many high-end 4K TVs will upscale from 1080p to 4K automatically with varying levels of success. Do we have 4K televisions in Britain?
You can
Oh,
get
yeah.
them, I think. Yeah.
Do we?
Yeah.
Yes, it's a butter telly. Wouldn't know.
I think they were
Stephen
talking
O'Neill
about
says,
8K ones a couple of years ago.
I get so confused with all this stuff, honestly.
Mm.
Honestly, when I go into John Lewis or somewhere and I see the televisions and they're all showing plants or colours or animals, I'm just like, amazing stuff.
Always looks
Stephen
better
O'Neill-
than it does when you get it home, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No, I'm not spending those prices to bring them out. Stephen O'Neill, AI should not be used on any classic shows or films. Timescales are saying to us, as long as the original episodes exist on physical media, it doesn't matter how they're changed.
Well, if they give the alternative, it's like, editing something down to an omnibus, isn't it? Like you say, and then if you've got that alternative original, that's fine. It's when you take the original away and you've no choice.
Yeah. Well, because the original versions, these are supposed to be the original versions on the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And it's not. So they need to tell us. They need to be honest if they're doing stuff with it, because we want the original versions. The majority of people that are buying these things, I think. But I don't mind if they do things like they've done before, where they've got, like, say, for example, the Curse of Fenric original 4-parters, then they've got the extra bit, Day of the Daleks, the original one, and then their awful CGI version one.
Yeah.
I don't mind those sort of things.
Do we know if they've done it on other recent Blu-ray collection sets, or is this the first time they've done it?
No idea. I think this is the opening of the can of worms.
Ah, right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
I think in things like Resurrection of the Daleks, towards the end, when you've got the fight in the warehouse and you've got the soldiers opening up with machine guns, and as was the norm with 80s telly, when they opened up with machine guns, you got horizontal lines across the screen.
Yeah.
If they used AI to sort of like smooth that out and take that away, I'm absolutely fine with that, because it was just an annoyance and it wasn't intended to be there. It was just a limitation of the technology at the time. Fine, no problem. But, if they used it to put an extra globe on the base of the Daleks, it's just like, what's the point? Why?
Yeah. We've got Plymouth Who joining us saying, I would not get too worked up about AI on the Blu-rays. After all, they've been using VidFire to make the 60mm film recordings look like video since the DVD range. I suppose.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is a good point. No, fine. Thank you about that. Timescales. Have we talked about Big Finish fans yet? No, that's all coming up. Got a big show for you tonight. We're getting through that. They're not going to remove the hand from Sutek, are they? They've done that, Stephen, on the alternative version that's on one of the releases, haven't they?
Yeah.
So that's coming up. Hayden is saying to us, AI is scary, and also science can now create life, which I'm sure the dangers of it has been covered in Doctor Who many times. You might say that. What else? And Stephen O'Neill saying to us, I'm glad I've kept my DVDs. Now you've pointed out AI has been used on Blu-ray releases. Yeah, it's just a case of, as Bedwy has said, don't get rid of your old ones. Just keep them just in case.
You've also got to remember as well, some of the items that have been removed from DVDs as well have been removed because of certain people as well. So if you want to keep the originals, you can. So.
Yeah.
Millywig Zed saying, I hate those 4K upscale tellies. They absolutely ruin animated films. Do they? Oh, that's interesting. And DC Games saying an AI version of Invasion of the Dinosaurs would be acceptable. We'd all like to see a new version of that tidied up with CGI dinosaurs, because since Jurassic Park, the first one, the proper one, let's all face it, Doctor Who fans have always gone, hello, oh, hang on. Ever since Jurassic Park, we've all gone, ooh.
Well, even looking at Walking with Dinosaurs, it just came back recently, the effects on that are superb. So if they could do something on that level.
And it could be done, but it would have to be a special edition, because we'd still want the original. Yeah. Exactly. And Van Zandt saying, oh yeah, I'm watching you guys right now, upscale to 4K on a 52-inch panel. Happy days. Remind me to get my makeup box out in future.
Can you tell us which is our best side?
The lighting and everything would be wrong.
Probably my backside even.
And Mark McIntosh with us to say you could now use AI tech to isolate Dudley Simpson's music. Oh, I suppose you could now, Mark. Hey, don't forget we've got our Blake 7 show tomorrow, Mark. Yes. So come and join us for that one tomorrow, 8 o'clock on the show, on the channel. But that was interesting as well. So again, thank you everybody who got in touch to say, have you seen this? Because I hadn't. So thank you so much. And it all goes above my head. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Daniel, hello, Daniel Raven. How are you? Perhaps one day they will use AI to make RTD's plots make sense. That's
why they don't make sense, because that's what they used before.
They're never going to make sense no matter what time you're going to. They'll look at them in 5 years' time. They'll look at them in 5 minutes' time and go, what the hell is this?
Honestly, the only thing that makes sense about those plots is to ignore them.
Yeah. It is. And Timescales are saying, yeah, that's a good point on VidFire. It is, isn't it? It is a good point. Yeah.
I didn't mind VidFire, to be fair.
Yeah, it was good. They made them really crystal clear, didn't they? The harmless stuff, yeah.
But the VidFire, they weren't tampering with anything either, were they? They were just putting it through, and upscaling it. And Joe Benno wants to know, where did you get the TARDIS model? That'd be for you, Ian.
Oh, it's a This Planet Earth half-size Peter Cushing version. I've had it quite a few years now.
There you go. This Planet Earth, I think they're still going. You can look them up. Not now. But yes, so thank you for that, everybody. Good to see you. But yes, so season 13 on the way. Glad you enjoyed the show. Thanks for getting in touch. And enjoy it when it comes out. Pre-order it now. Something else that's happened this week, as you possibly have already heard. But Russell T. Davies. Oh, God. I really don't like talking about him. It does my head in. I'm so bored with the man Who viewers. I'm so sorry. I am really over about him. When I see his picture on website or when it comes up on thumbnails on YouTube, oh my God, I just go, no, I don't want to know. PTA, thank you for your super chat. I love AI, but I agree with JT that it poses dangers on the world stage. We're all one algorithm away from disaster. I keep thinking of surely Tom Cruise could pop back for another Mission Impossible film. You know,
yeah.
That's it's a Mission Impossible storyline. This one, isn't it? Really, it's happening. I'm sure it really is happening now. Thank you, PTA. But yes, don't go preempting what I'm going to say here with the video. This interview made me cringe. Yes, so let's get into this, shall we? Because here he is. It's your friend and ours. It's Russell T Davies here, seen at the Pride at Manchester with some of his adoring fans, obviously, as you can see there. Bless them. He has recently appeared on, I didn't even know this was there. There's a YouTube channel called Your Manchester, which is a series of shows hosted by Manchester drag queen Belinda Scandal. Now, Belinda, he's been around for, well, since the dinosaurs, I think. He's been around forever. And he's actually a very good host as a drag queen. I've seen him live. He hosts an awful lot of stuff. He did host an awful lot of stuff, including the usual karaoke's and bingos and stuff up and down Canal Street for many years. So he's a known face on Canal Street. I didn't realize he had a channel or a show called Your Manchester. Well, he does. And RTD has been one of the latest guests on it. And from what I can tell, it's one of their most successful episodes to date. I wonder why that is. But the whole thing about this is RTD wanted Doctor Who to move away from very straight, masculine and testosterone-y sci-fi. Yeah.
Why? Why?
Well, I'm going to come to that now, but here he is on the show. That's Belinda Scandal on the right. Oh, sorry, no, on the left. So that's Belinda. Obviously, it's all filmed and recorded in Manchester as well, where Russell is based, as we all know. He's currently gearing up to start filming. The cast and everything is about to be announced for this new Channel 4 TQ cult drama, as we've been talking about on the show before. But it's all gearing up. So he's on Your Manchester, guys, and he's blethering about his life as a young man in Wales. He's talking about his break into television, how he didn't get a Crossroads gig because it was axed, but then he got Why Don't You, all the stuff we know. And it inevitably turns around with Belinda asking about Doctor Who. And this is where, I mean, it's a very shallow, a very hollow interview. It's not worth big headlines, in my opinion. It's not worth really going, oh, he did this and he did this, because he wasn't. He was, when Belinda was trying to talk to him about Doctor Who, he did get a little bit sort of cagey in a sense. Although he was relaxed, it was as though he wasn't prepared to talk about, because there's nothing to talk about, as we know. It's not in production. So let's have a look at this. This has come from Doctor Who TV. Reflecting on his recent work with Doctor Who, showrunner RTD revealed that one of his driving goals since taking the reins again was to steer the show away from what he called very straight, very masculine, very testosterone-y science fiction. Speaking in an interview with Your Manchester, Davies responded to comment suggesting that the show had properly tapped into the LGBT side this time around. I think it was just like nudging by 1% in that direction, he said. But it's
1%?
Well, yeah. It's 2025, and you also have to look at what the others are doing. Science fiction franchises are very straight, very masculine, very testosterone-y. And so that's where Doctor Who can fill a space. Really? RTD also stated that he doesn't consider Doctor Who a children's show. It's perfectly safe for children to watch. But it's like a family show. It's like a Pixar film. He added that he sets clear internal boundaries for tone, saying, I have rules on it that are quite strict. No blood. You can have laser beams, you can have deaths, but not blood bursting out of people. Toward the end of the interview, RTD was also asked about Billy Piper's role and dodged the question, which he did, because he wouldn't, when Belinda Scandal said, right, is Billy the next Doctor Who? He wasn't going to answer the question, because what's he going to do? It was at that point that I realized they've got to be honest, because he was doing everything he can to say, I'm not going to answer the question. I'm not going to say this. I don't know. Why didn't he just turn around and say, well, at this moment, there's negotiations for another financial partner. I don't know what I'm going to do next. The show's off air. The show's not going into production right now. But they won't say that, guys.
He didn't even say stay tuned. You know what I mean? That's kind of, he thought he might have done. Yeah.
Taking a leaf out John's book.
I just find him a very poison, in my opinion, He is a very poisonous individual who sows division and breeds hate, I think. Doctor Who was never testosterone-y. It was never
What
about
does
that.
that mean?
But you look at other science fiction franchises. I mean, look at the 5 years or so that they've had of Star Trek Discovery, which was about as TQIA and teary and cry as you could possibly get. There probably wasn't even a drop of testosterone in there, and yet he's comparing it with stuff like that. It's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassing statement. He's just gaslighting people with the rubbish that he's talking about. It's bilge.
Yeah. A lot of you in the chat not appreciating this at all. I was so bored watching this. Really, no disrespect to Belinda Scandal and his friends that I put together. I just think RTD now is at the end of a very lucky career. He keeps churning out the same stories and the same ideas all the time and has done for 20 odd years. And I think he's now being found out, personally, because he even...
An aging hack desperately trying to stay relevant.
I think so, but also because of the failure of the last Doctor Who. What am I trying to say? The failure of the last version of Doctor Who, the 2 series with Gatwa, starting with the Tennant 3 things, that was all about the TQI nonsense as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he even had to shoehorn all this into Doctor Who, where Doctor Who should have been a break from him from all this nonsense he's always peddling and these agendas, where he could have just got back to science fiction drama. But no, he didn't. And I think that's where people have found him out a bit, to say that's all you can write about. And as he said before in previous interviews, guys, that he wants to write about that because that's his experience. But he can't talk for all of us. I mean, the LGB experience is totally different to the TQI experience, whether he likes it or not.
And the thing about it is Doctor Who isn't about experience, it's about fantasy and sci-fi. So it's imagination, it's futuristic. It's not about experience. It's using your imagination to create new worlds and stuff like that. It's not about what you've experienced in life, is it? I mean, not at all.
Yeah. So if you go and look at this, so if you've seen this interview at all, it's very boring, to be quite honest, and he's quite dull, and he's doing all the waving stuff and all this sort of stuff, and all the usual. He's trying to be there, but it's shallow. There's just, it's like it's an empty response, if you know what I'm saying, Who viewers. It's for him, it's routine. Yeah. And it's well-rehearsed routine because he's said these things over and over again, especially since 2004 and 2005. When Doctor Who was coming back and came back. And it's been the same things over and over again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is interesting, though, I find in that article referring to Doctor Who being a family show, not a children's show, but he opens with space babies. I mean, who was that aimed at? What, under fives? What's going on there?
It's not, though, is it? I mean, you look at Rogue and all the other, the messaging, the comments, the phrases used, going right back to snowmanning and things like that. It's not appropriate for children at all. You would not dream of leaving your child to watch this alone, like we used to do in the 70s or 80s. You would not do that for a second. You'd be an irresponsible parent if you did, I think. It's just wrong. But I mean, he's talking about he's against your gender, is against your sexuality, and is against your biological makeup. I mean, if there isn't a definition of racism as well, I mean, he's basically going against your entire race, isn't he? In a sense, isn't he? If you're a straight white male, or if you're a straight male, never mind your skin color. If you're a straight male, you have just been attacked.
Yes, of course. Again.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous because I'm going to speak now as a homosexual. Doctor Who in our day was open to everyone because it didn't push agendas, it didn't show politics, it didn't come down on one side like it does now. The version that he's produced alienated more people, in my opinion, than the Chibnall era did, and that was shedding millions. This one went to the rest of them. Yeah, exactly. And it was just so bloody awful. And when they're coming out all the time to say things like it's not for white heterosexual men, it says more about them, doesn't it, than it does anyone else watch it. Because
surely in that sense, he shouldn't be writing for it in the first place. That's how he feels about it.
But they missed the whole point of what Doctor Who is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Doctor
Do you
Who is.
remember in
Tiffany Strobridge, by the way, and just before we get to you, was saying it was the Acolyte testosterone filled. That, of course, was one of the Star Wars one. That flopped incredibly, didn't
Yeah.
it? Because it was all about lesbo this and lesbo that. And I
Yeah.
love the lesbos, but it's not right in Star Wars. And it's certainly not right in Doctor Who with all that lizard thing and all. Ugh, it's vile. It's vile. These people are mad. Geriatric is saying Billy Piper's image is just a convenient bookend. The show is dead, but RTD cannot be honest about the fact that he was the killer.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I mean, he's
Just
not going to
tell
come back and say, like J&T said, in some of the interviews after Doctor Who, I made some mistakes. I appreciate that. I'm aware of that now. He'll never do that, but he never does that.
No. His skin is way too thin. But I was going to say, do you remember back in the days when they were doing Kinder?
Yeah.
And that one of the lead supporting characters before they started filming was murdered. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Frontios, you mean? It's Frontios,
Frontios, it was. Frontios.
Frontios.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, it wasn't Kinder. It was Frontios.
Yeah, Frontios.
And I believe, and I happily would be corrected, I believe he was a gay actor, and it was
Peter
it was
Arn, wasn't it? Peter Arn?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very good actor, very good actor. But I think it was a sex-based crime that drove his murder. But then in the 1980s, the supposed intolerant 80s, even then it was about the actor had been murdered. It wasn't about his sexuality or anything else. Whereas if that had happened now, it would be the only angle they came from. It would be absolutely the focus. And it just shows you we haven't gone forward at all. These morons have dragged it back. That they thrive on telling people they are oppressed and they're fighting back when actually they're the aggressors and there wasn't a situation in the first place. They're a nasty, insidious little bunch. And really, there's an awful lot of them that, to be quite honest, if it was anybody else, if it was any other gender, if it was any other sexuality, you'd be locked up. Probably within a week.
It doesn't help, of course, that if you are white and heterosexual in our country now, you are number one enemy. That's what unconscious bias training does for you. Stephen Braddock is saying, I thought RTD was a long-time Doctor Who fan, but from the sounds of the interview, he doesn't have a clue. And Dalek Eye is saying, quite rightly, in my opinion, I think RTD has put off a lot of gay people from watching Doctor Who, not encouraged due to the TQ nonsense. I can tell you that is true. A lot of them switched off, as we saw from the ratings. But if you've watched any of my Live at 6 shows here, you'll know that very recently I was blocked from a Facebook page for the Doctor Who Cave fans group. Oh yes, I was blocked from them because apparently people were getting complaints. Here it is here, look, by the way, that's what I was blocked from. Okay, and they blocked me for saying that a trans woman is a man and a trans man is a woman, all the usual stuff. And I was basically questioning an awful lot of them because they were going down the route, oh, Russell said this, so it must be true. And that's the problem. That's the problem. And I think this is why we've got an awful lot of very deluded young people, especially between RTD and that old hack and his bloody, what's it called, drag race show, or whatever it's called, that crone. And then all the propaganda that's thrown out by people like the BBC and ITV. This weekend, London Pride. I'm disgusted by some of it, quite frankly. And I'd like to send a big message to the idiot groups called Queers for Palestine. Get yourselves a one-way ticket, save some money, and pop over there and see what your reception is. You bloody idiots. But anyway, idiots. Absolutely idiots.
I think any, not a gay person, so can't speak from experience, but my observation is any gay person that supports the trans agenda is a turkey voting for Christmas, frankly.
That's an interesting way to put it. I mean, that whole agenda is very confused. And, as you know, on this show, I'm a great supporter of hashtag LGB without the TQ, because it's nothing to do with same-sex attracted issues. And we achieved our own huge humongous rights and achievements, which have now been given cap in hand to the TQ, who weren't even there at these things. But London Pride, going on and on about this. Now, BBC, of course, especially BBC London, have been putting out all these pictures of people, blah, blah, blah. selected pictures, of course. They're not showing the furries and they're not showing the fetish groups or anything like that this time around, because the public have grasped hold of that and said, no, we don't want that on the street, quite rightly, in my opinion. But also, I'd just like to ask the BBC and BBC London, where were you 20, 30 years ago when we actually needed you, you bloody hypocrites? Why? Why weren't you there? It's all about bandwagon jumping. And because it's now, oh, hang on a minute, it's acceptable now to do this. And, you know, oh, the rights have been achieved and it's the right thing to do now. And because they're all virtual signaling, they've been pushing it all the time. But not one of them, not one of these broadcasters, not one of these businesses wanted to know when I was on the front lines in the late 80s through the 90s and into the 2000s. Makes me ill. You know, Darren and Hembrow, thank you so much for your super chat. RTD needs to be told no and his tantrum ignored.
Yeah.
We've said that before, haven't we, guys? He needs a decent production team around him that will hold into account, and possibly people that are even more powerful than him in the television industry now, so that he knows his place. But quite frankly, Darren, do you want him associated with Doctor Who anymore?
No. No one had the balls to say, Russell, this is a mess, rewrite it. That's the problem.
Yeah. And they needed to, didn't they, really?
Yeah.
Mudcrab says, if you actually look at RTD's CV, it's filled with shows you've never heard of. Even Queer as Folk is something no one would remember if you didn't mention it constantly. I tend to agree with that. I mean, it was very successful in 1999, and it did come back the year after for a mini-series sequel, which wasn't as good. It's very forgettable. But I think QAF would have been forgotten now as well if it hadn't been for Doctor Who. Because as I've said before, Who viewers, he also did this mighty flop that nobody talks about, including him, about the Welsh guy who wins the lottery.
And a few other forgettables.
I don't even remember that. So that's how popular that was. Yeah.
I remember it being on because it had Griffiths Jones in it, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
But I know he did that Cucumber and the other one that disappeared without a trace as well. It went down quicker than the Titanic. And I thought Second Coming was good, but it was obviously him having a swipe at religion and mainly Catholicism and Christianity. Yeah, Christ, he wouldn't dare do it on Islam, would he? But I thought the general story, I enjoyed it, I'll be honest, but then I think a lot of it was carried by a brilliant Eccleston. But you know, aside from that, everything else I think has just been forgettable.
I mean, with hindsight, we knew Eccleston worked, but now we know he worked.
Yeah.
Didn't he? Yeah. He worked in that series of Doctor Who. He bloody worked. God knows what he was dealing with around him. Marie UK, thank you for your super chat. RTD clearly thinks gay men can't be masculine. That's what I thought about this particular thing as well. What are you talking about? I thought, you know, and the fact that he was saying you've got to look at everybody else. No, because that's not what Doctor Who is about. You know, Doctor Who was always the leader. Even when it was off air, carbon copies of its format were coming up from all over the place because people had watched Doctor Who for 26 years. Now it's not. Now it's lost in the mix because it looks too much like something else.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's a sad day for us. I'm sorry, says Domgo. Doctor Who is no longer a place for children, unfortunately. I reluctantly agree with that, but that's something that they've got to sort out for when it comes back.
Yeah. Agree.
Richard Thomas is saying to us, I learned a lot about the real world from the fantasy world shown in Doctor Who. How to be the better person, to value and respect all life that just wants to live and not destroy, to not bully individuals. I know what you're saying. You know, we were taught right from wrong from Doctor Who, as well as other shows, weren't we, in the old days?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people would agree with Richard on that and share that experience. I know I certainly do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly do, because you understood, though. There was, in a British way, there was a moral compass in Doctor Who, with the Doctor never carrying a gun, abhorring violence, using wit, using his brain to get out of situations. That was the Doctor. And that's why I couldn't see it in the recent years. And that's why, for me, Gatwa will never be the Doctor, because there was nowhere near the performance or the characterization I expected. Nowhere near. Legion James saying to us, it's a lot of absolute nonsense. Doctor Who has always had a large gay fan base. We loved it because it was excellent sci-fi. We didn't need to see ourselves on screen. We have depth and imagination. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we went in the wilderness years, everybody, when we all joined up at the numerous conventions or local groups or anything else we were doing, did it all matter? Did it matter about our religion? Did it matter about our sexuality? Did it matter about the color of our skin? No, it bloody didn't. It was just another
No.
Doctor Who fan that you had to get to know.
Yeah.
Happy days, weren't they?
Yeah.
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 You know, none of this crap that they've shoehorned in. And we are going to be talking about fans, the state of fandom as well. They've helped to create this, I think. We've got Anthony Parkinson saying to us, Tiptoe will no doubt air after the Watershed at 9 p.m. and yet Doctor Who went out at tea time. It's not hard to see why activist RTD went so hard with Doctor Who. He assumed the wider audience was there. Yes, he did. And he thought his messages were going to get across to millions and millions of people. Ha ha ha.
And boy, he was wrong. Yeah.
He was wrong,
Yes.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
Hayden 2012 said Jodie Whittaker said Doctor Who was always about the male gaze. She did. We're going to be listening
But then
to
she knew bugger all about it because she was a bloody idiot that just shot her mouth off without actually looking at any of it.
Yeah, never watched any of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Dark Hull is correct as far as I'm concerned. Star Trek, Star Wars, James Bond, Doctor Who, all ruined. And why? Why?
Yeah.
Because of agenda, because show business poison. And Leonard Pigg, why did RTD have the Doctor cry so much?
Because he had no imagination. That's why. Yeah.
Well, he wanted to make him human, didn't he?
Yeah. What's the point? You know?
It was about making him more relatable to an audience that RTD and others assume are anxious all the time about the moral. We've read it out, haven't we? We've read their statements out.
Yeah.
They feel that young people are anxious all the time. Well, the reason that they're anxious all the time is because they've made them, the adults have made them anxious all the time. They're not giving them any sort of stiff upper lip like we did and say, no, it's going to be all right. We've been in this situation before, and educating them properly.
But that's part of the wider thing, isn't it, though? You look on the media and everything, and they want people to be afraid. They want people to be scared. They want people to be scared about climate change. They want them to be frightened about disease and another pandemic. They want them to be afraid about war. And when people are afraid, they're easier to control. And that's what they want, ultimately, control.
Yeah.
And they did a test with that pandemic. They did a test and got people compliant about things like vaccines and things like that. And it was a nice little dummy run for them.
Well, you know, we all know that communists don't like freedom, but this is where I see a lot of people going to. He does use the G word, and I'm not sure if I can use it on this platform anymore. It shows you, doesn't it? It was supposed to be free speech, and I'm terrified of saying certain words, but he does use the G word, genocide, and he's not talking about the Daleks. So you can guess where he comes from and what side he's on. He's on the far left, as we know. But it just shows you how bloody delusional, thick they all are. Darren, thank you again for your super chat. RTD has failed the production, the cast, and the public. And Paul Schlefter, RTD has a lot to answer for. He has destroyed the series and destroyed fandom. He is so divisive. He should be nowhere near the future of Doctor Who. Here. Yeah. Mudcrap is saying to us, irony was that the Acolyte was actually very hetero at the end. Most of the gay actors have their characters die, and at the end it's a thirst trap with a shirtless guy. Was it?
No. Oh, yeah.
I never watched it. I didn't fancy it. It didn't look attractive to me at all. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Your comments, keep them coming. So this is this. Oh, Moira's saying to us, Maura Goddard, we had the Cold War hanging over our heads, but we just got on with life. We've said this before, haven't we, guys? We did. You know?
Do you remember them showing? I mean, I don't know about yourselves, but I mean, at my school, they had us sit down and watch that 1960s nuclear war thing, the War Game, which was terrifying. Oh, yes. And then they showed us the other one that showed the from the 80s that showed an atomic bomb on Sheffield.
What thread?
I was actually in Sheffield on yesterday, and I can confirm. I think they actually filmed it for real there because it looks like it actually went off.
It's a fantastic drama that is really scary,
Oh yeah, but we watched that at school.
Yeah.
Well, we were actually lucky because I was told the other day by somebody in education that shocked me because she said to me, they don't teach them about World War II. Really? Which explains a lot.
Yeah.
When you look at what's going on our streets around the UK right now. That explains a lot. And I blame education for that. Why the hell are they not teaching about one of the most important historical events in the world and our role in it and what happened. I just find that horrific. It's no wonder they're all running around
But
trying to stop the cause.
they'll go back further, though, won't they? They'll go back further and teach them about how bad the British colonialists were, though, aren't they?
Yeah. And how bad Winston Churchill was and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Keep them scared and also keep them feeling guilty about their heritage.
Well, we've had this before, haven't we? We took, was it last week or something? We talked about Winston Churchill and how RTJ says he's, implied in one of the interviews, we now know he's not what he was. I can't be done with that. In my eyes, he's a hero.
Yeah.
And he did what he needed to do in a war, which you would never know about RTD. Because even if we go to war now, it's exactly the way it's going to be played now, isn't it? It's going to be all AI and, secrets and spies and idiots on the streets and, it's frightening times. Marie UK, thank you so much for this. Your super chat. Only fans left of Doctor Who are people looking for a cult, like the Palestine and LGBT loss, who can't stand to be just normal person. They want to be special. That's where the TQ cult comes in, because a lot of the Q stuff is actually heterosexuals wearing nail varnish and seeking out validation. It's nothing to do with same-sex issues, So there's a lot of them there. But you're right on that point. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Gosh, a lot of you here as well. Richard Thomas is saying to us, Project Fear is everywhere. Imagine being a child, teenager, young adult in 2025. I'm glad I'm 62, as we have certainly lived through and enjoyed the best years in entertainment, TV, film, music, and comics. Yes, totally.
Yeah.
Totally get
it. Right about that terminology, Project Fear. You remember, when people talk about climate change and they say about the 1976 heat wave, which it did get really bloody hot. It was certainly the higher end of the 30s, wasn't it? And the thing, you get those temperatures then, and we got on with it and really enjoyed it because it was a fantastic summer. You get those temperatures now and it's global warming. But what they don't argue or what they don't understand or remember is that in the 1976, when we had that 35, 36, whatever degree temperatures for a long time, and they were putting standpipes up in the streets for people to go and get their water. Yes. In the 1970s, either side of that, the climate change, and it was going on then, the climate change narrative was about global cooling. And they were telling us in adverts and everything else that there was going to be an ice age, and here it comes within the next 10 years. And it never happened. So we had a hot summer, but it was global cooling. Now we have a hot summer and it's global warming. And it was eminent climate scientists then, just like it is now. And it's bollocks. Yes, things are getting warmer at the minute. The planet has done this all the time, and we're just getting it now. And it's tosh, but it's Project Fear. Convinced of it.
Thank you so much for your super chat, the core of sci-fi and fantasy. Evening, folks, just finished work and immediately switched you on. That's what I like to hear, core of. Thank you so much. I discovered Who in the wilderness years and was very happy during that time. I also just came home to find season 25 Blu-ray, the limited edition set has arrived. Well, good for you. Yeah, good for you. Enjoy it. It's better than anything we've had on BBC television or wherever you are over the last couple of years. Season 25. It's Doctor Who. It's recognisable Doctor Who. We are talking at the moment, though, for if you've just joined us, the RTD appeared on a show called Your Manchester. Now, also just to say as well, Manchester is sadly in the grip of progressive politics, extreme left wing. One of my friends, bless him and his husband, are actually thinking of moving from Manchester because it's got so bad for them. They are not allowed on Canal Street, Manchester's alleged LGB and now TQ plus street, where all the bars and the clubs are. They've been banned. I still can't get over this, but they're thinking of moving. It shows you, really, this far left ideology is, in my opinion, dangerous, and it's everywhere down there. It's sad times, but RTD is part of that, I'm afraid. If you want to look at that interview, you can go and find it. It's Your Manchester. It's not worth it, though. And he doesn't say anything big or anything controversial, really, apart from the stuff we really knew like this. He wanted to make Doctor Who less heterosexually. I'll show you the headline again from that I got there. It was that one there from Doctor Who TV. He wanted to move Doctor Who away from very straight, masculine and testosterone sci-fi. I still don't understand why. If you're going to have a hero, I would rather have, Doctor Who proved it. I'd rather have John Pertwee or Tom Baker. In fact, I'd rather have any of the original 8 Doctors and possibly even Eccleston I'll say Tennant first time round, grudgingly.
Mm.
Smith and Capaldi, the mincing ninnies.
Yeah.
Because could any of us believe that Gatwa and his incarnation that he put together was capable of saving the universe? Can you imagine if he'd ever come up against the Daleks? He would have crapped his pants and started crying immediately.
Jodie's
The actor
butcher
wasn't capable of
shooty,
doing
let's be
13
honest.
episodes.
Sorry, hang on. Ian, what did you say there?
Sorry. I said the actor himself wasn't capable of doing 13 episodes. The character wouldn't be able to do much, would he?
Yeah. And Paul, what did you say?
I just said Jodie was butcher than shooty. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that takes me on very nicely.
Yeah, I mean, in a nice way, of course. Yeah.
Of course. It takes me on very nicely to the next interview that's happened over the last couple of days, as reported by RadioTimes.com, which is with Jodie Whittaker herself. Doctor Who's Jodie Whittaker reveals regret about how she played the 13th Doctor. She's been translating her on-screen performance to audio. Now, as you'll all know, she has joined the ever-swelling ranks of Big Finish, or as I like to call them, Bog Vanish. And the alleged 13th Doctor range appears very soon, apparently, with a companion from the TV series. I don't know what her name is.
It's Yaz.
Yes,
Yeah.
there it is. Yes. So that's coming out for you. So if you're all if you're all interested in that, you can go and get them now, I would imagine. I don't think it's going to be the big thing that they expect it to be. To be honest, it's going to be in a minority, surely. But anyway, let's get into this interview from the Radio Times, where Jodie Whittaker returns to her role as the 13th Doctor in new Doctor Who audio drama. She's noticed something new about her performance. But obviously, she says, when your voice is the entire thing, I realized how many times I mispronounce words. I trip over sounds. Laughing with co-star Mandip Gill, who plays Yasmin Khan, she added to BF, I basically pitched the Doctor too quick, but I did it in my very first episode, and I've regretted it ever since. As well as the new work for Big Finish, Whittaker recently returned to play the Doctor on screen for an appearance in Gatwa's final episode, The Reality War. There she had a brief interaction with Gatwa's 15th Doctor, which acknowledged a noticeable change in demeanour between their two incarnations of the Time Lord, i.e. both of them hugely unpopular. Speaking in WWM, showrunner RTD reflected on Whittaker's return and said it was a major delight to work with the great and mighty Jodie. Because her Doctor regenerated into Tennant's 14th, I always felt Jodie and Ncuti were owed a moment together, which is a strange thing to think because had one regenerated into the other, they'd still never have met. He continued, but you know what I mean. There was a missing link between them, which this episode forged together. This is another example for me about
That's desperate, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's an example for me about the dangers of having a fan in charge because he has to link everything together. Moffat did as well. Chibnall had to as well, I believe, as well. Why? Why? And whose fault was it that Whittaker didn't regenerate into Gatwa?
RTD.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, I've never seen, apart from that thing where she turns up in the Gatwa, I don't know her episodes. I don't ever intend to watch them. I'm not interested at all.
Did that not whet your appetite when you saw her in the Reality War? No.
No, because for me, she and the other one are not the Doctor. The Doctor is not a woman. End of. Call me what you like. I don't care. But she proved the Doctor is not a woman as well. The British public, as well as fandom, left the show in their millions. That continued with the gay one, or sorry, the queer one, because the Doctor isn't that. We know what the Doctor is more than the people producing the bloody show.
Yeah.
What did you think about that? What was wrong with her voice? What's she talking about?
She did have a quite fast delivery, as far as I remember. Some of her dialogue and stuff. She's quite a fast Doctor, fast-speaking Doctor. I think that's what she means, but I'm not sure. But...
I know she's Yorkshire, as am I. Although North Yorkshire and she was South Yorkshire from Sheffield. But I found her accent nauseating, and I thought that she overdid it as well, and tried to be quirky all the time in what she said and the inflection she put on things and the faces she pulled. It's just all of it was just nauseating, really.
One that comes to mind is "What the flukes" was one of them, wasn't it? Yeah. So.
Well, that was an actual scripted line.
I think so. Yeah.
You are not missing anything, JT, by ignoring that. It was a non-era that, as part of this RTD alternate universe thing, which I am viewing 2005 onwards as, it was just eminently forgettable. Horrendous stuff.
I'm just not including it as Doctor Who full stop. It's not even an alternative universe, because that alternative universe is completely off its tits with madness and stupidity. So I don't want to know about it. You know, stick it in with some of the nonsense from Marvel or some DC or something like that. Anyway, we've got John Mason saying to us, she lost me when she said must have instead of must have, and she never got me back. These people are actors. How are they trained these days? Because they're not taught with language. Interesting, isn't it? Interesting.
But then she liked throwing out terms like fam all the time, didn't she? And
my fam.
And trying
really?
to be with it as well. Can I say, JT, as well? I think we have actually missed an earlier super chat from PTA. A while back, he said, when we were still talking about RTD, he gave us a super chat for £5, which was very kind.
Thank you, mate.
And I watched a bit of Cucumber, and it was crap. As a Christian, I'm sick of RTD spreading his hateful propaganda. And hear to that, PTA.
PTA, I don't know if you know this, but I was an extra on those things, and my heart sank because it had been built up as this new version of QAF, which at the time I was a fan of because it had relevance back in 1999, and I thought it was great. Plus, at that time also, I was quite supportive of Russell thanks to what he'd done in Doctor Who. So I was an extra on it, and there was a particular scene where we're in a Manchester, surprise, surprise, Silla's here, pub, and we're doing all the stuff that you do in the background, you know. You know, until a director pulls it, says that's it.
Yeah.
All the usual nonsense.
Just tone it down a bit, love. That's it.
That's the sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the lines of the actors, and I thought, bloody hell, this is terrible. How does this fit into a bigger story? And you can't say anything. But Cucumber and Banana, I did some stuff for. The dialogue was terrible, PTA, honestly. And when I came to watch it, I did the usual thing of looking out for myself and then switched the thing off. Oh, there we are. Oh, was that it? Oh, switch it off, you know. So Jodie has caught up with us, alas, says Stephen Braddock. And Jane Smith saying to us, oh, and I bet the Big Finish director told her not to gabble.
Yeah.
There is a difference though when you do something on audio.
Yeah.
It's interesting how she's.
It's a good job they don't use AI to filter out irritating bullshit. Otherwise, it'll just be a silent soundtrack, won't it?
Yeah. That's probably a bonus. I would have thought.
We've got Woodhouse 122 saying, I had the ordeal of listening to Jodie Whittaker trailer for Big Finish. It was appallingly awful. Oh, there's a trailer already, isn't there? Oh, well, bless you. Bless you, Woodhouse. And Leonard Pigg is saying Jodie was doing a 10th Doctor impression the entire time, while they never figured out how to give her a proper personality. Really?
Well, that's the thing. They just changed her, made the Doctor a woman. They didn't think about her personality whatsoever, which seems a bit stupid, really. But yeah.
Yeah, why bother?
Yeah, why bother? Yeah.
She's regretted it, said Craig Dunlop. Well, we know why they bothered. It was to tick a box, wasn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
And Digby Strawbridge is saying, oh, she's working for Bog Fanish. Things must be going well for Whittaker then. Well, certainly the days where an actor, the agents need to be honest with them now. Certainly the days that an actor can break America through Doctor Who are gone.
Yeah.
And I reckon that's why Whittaker and especially Gatwa did it. Not for the love of the show.
Yeah.
Not for wanting to be part of its history. Not to understand its legacy and its importance to British television and our culture, but so that they could get a foot in the door in Hollywood, and it hasn't worked for either of them. So, no sympathy.
Well, it still amazes me that someone like Matt Smith, who wasn't even born when Doctor Who was on, took the time to actually watch it and appreciate it and honour its legacy, and they never did that. That was just madness that they didn't.
Yeah.
Why Chibnall actually stopped Jodie from watching stuff and said deliberately don't watch anything was really stupid.
I think that's arrogance. The fact that I mean, you never want them to watch and copy. But do you remember when Colin Baker was announced and he said he'd been watching old stuff to get the essence of the character?
Yeah.
And that was it, because there was an essence that ran through, certainly up to the end of season 26. But sorry, and the McGann thing, Paul. I do apologise.
I'll let you off.
Thank you. But after that, it went out the window, didn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Yes, because they'd rebooted it. Whether fans like to admit that or not, they'd rebooted it. It was a different version of the show. Hayden is saying to us, I have to admit, I already have it, to be honest, thinking the writing for the 13th Doctor might be better. Okay, so what do you make of it? What is it like? Big Finish are known to be well. I was always very surprised at the beginning when Big Finish came out, because I used to support Big Finish back in the day when it was one a month, and it was very exciting from 1999 onwards.
Yeah.
And the Colin Baker stories, as we all know, were a revelation. Colin was superb. The stories were brilliant. His Doctor was brilliant. The characterization was brilliant. It worked. And that's when we all were running around, wasn't it, Paul, going, oh, we were robbed on telly.
Yeah.
Because of this. That sort of big-headedness, I think, got to them. But have they done the same for Whittaker? Hayden, try and let me know, and I'll find out. I'll try and keep
to a certain extent, they're the same with Paul McGann. They gave Paul McGann a lease of life, and some of his audios are superb. Some are not so great, but some of the early ones are really, really good. And I think that gave him the lease of life he needed,
Oh, right. Now, this is interesting. As Wolf said, Paul, stop messing with JT. JT is never going to watch the Whittaker episodes. No, it's not going to happen. It doesn't interest me at all, honestly. Nothing at all. And Robert Payne, this is a strong Yorkshire accent and talking fast like Sue Pollard. Do you mean as Peggy? Was she doing a Peggy?
Yeah. Peggy would have been more believable as a Time Lord, I think.
I would pay good money to see Sue Pollard as the 13th.
Peggy's bucket would have been more believable as a Time Lord, to be honest.
Unless Peggy's hair was more convincing. Yeah.
Connie, to show that we do all views, while I never ever suggested a female Doctor, I really like Jodie. She brought such great energy and honestly felt like a female David Tennant. That's the problem, though. I mean, everybody's going to be looking at David Tennant now. To be honest, I didn't like him. And with his third series, I thought, that's what you're doing. And I quite like series 3.
Yeah.
Series 2 and 3, but I couldn't, I didn't get to like him the Doctor until series 3. His last, which is series 4, isn't it? Sorry, his last series was the one where I thought, I know what you're doing now. I quite like this. But I struggled for the first 2 years. But to copy him is wrong. Yeah. You've got to do. That's why Smith got it right, because he was the immediate follow.
Yeah,
and he didn't do a copy. Yeah. It was so different, and that's how we had to do it.
Yeah, copying someone's. That's like if Hartnell, when Hartnell left, and they got Richard Hunderland to do the second Doctor, that'd be pointless. That's kind of what you're doing, isn't it? It's like you may as well not cast that person to do that. Cast someone to be, as J&T said, completely different from the previous one, and that's what it should be. You want to have a distinctive character, otherwise there's no point.
I mean, it's like JNT always said, if Colin had followed Tom, it would have been an absolute disaster. But because Peter's in the middle of them, it works.
Yeah.
Because you would have gone with one powerhouse after the other powerhouse. So you needed that vulnerability of an exchange, and that's why Peter worked coming after Tom.
Yeah. That was Colin had been given the chance. That was, yeah.
Marine Boy 66 saying says Whittaker played the Doctor as a breathless Peggy from Heidi High. She was god awful. Thank you for that. And Moira Goddard saying Jodie, like Gatwa, had no gravitas.
Mavitas.
Yeah, no, don't let's
I
forget
knew that was coming.
See, something else that wasn't explained. But this is all. This is the thing about it, isn't it? A lot of these new actors, these younger actors, don't have this power of performance, as far as I'm concerned. Not all of them, but some of them. Certainly the two we've seen. I've said it before, haven't I, Who viewers? The two most spectacular miscasts in Doctor Who's entire history were Whittaker and Gatwa.
But it proves, though, that it's not always the case if a young actor can do it. Look at Matt Smith. He was 26. I mean, that is wonderful. I mean, I can't praise him. He's an actor, proper actor. Yeah, I can't praise him enough. Really, he was a great. 11th Doctor was probably my favourite of the new Doctors. Definitely, I would say. Yeah.
And Capaldi came with experience and also being a major fan. He just got Whippet style dumb scripts, didn't he?
Yeah.
And Spiel saying a primary school nativity play would have greater gravitas than the slot we've been served for the last few years. Yep. I'd say so. Bill Lowry is saying Dr. Scrunchface for some reason.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
The coffee mark.
She did all those faces. She sometimes tried to. I always thought she looked, when she did that mouth open, trying to look like she was thinking hard, and it obviously hurt her. I thought she looked a little bit like Rick Mail.
From the young ones. You mean all that
Yeah,
sort of?
yeah.
When she'd like, and it looked like Rick Mail, probably bottom era Rick Mail.
Oh, bottom.
As opposed to Rick the Prick, you mean? Yeah. So
Yeah, with the silent P.
Yes, yeah.
There was another potential doctor there. Coffee Master, good to see you. Good evening, Time Lords. This weekend I made the mistake of watching those 60th anniversary specials. Damn, that was rough. Let's search yourself right.
Oh, you fool.
You were hoping they weren't as bad as you remembered. I can tell how you did it. Yeah.
Never
They
ever
were.
do it again. I'll take your coffee off you. I'll give you some tea instead. No, isn't that terrible? And we've got this one. Hello and welcome to Nuclear Bum Records. Good to see you.
What a great handle. Yeah.
Welcome to Who's
What a
Who.
great icon.
Yes, lovely. I used to love Big Finish, but we're drowning in audio stories now. And sadly, I can't be bothered wading through the stuff already out there to find the good ones. That's a good point, Nuclear Bum. So thank you for your comment there, because I've heard this from Paul Bedouin and others as well. They've really...
They've swapped the market. That's the problem. Yeah.
And it's as though they're trying to find the lucky gold mine again.
Yeah.
Long gone.
So hopefully, they must be thinking, surely the Whitaker one is going to strike gold. But they know. They know.
must be mad if they think that, surely.
I think so. Surely the best-selling ones are Tom, Peter, Colin, and Sylvester, and probably Paul.
Yeah.
Surely. Anyway, but thank you for that. Welcome. John Mason is also saying Colin was Baker on audio. Yeah, he was, wasn't he, really? Yeah. Thank you for joining us, everybody. It's good to see you all. That was Jodie Whittaker talking about this in her time of Big Finish and saying she regretted. I think it's more of a regret looking at that. She regretted how she was performing the audio with the voice, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's damage limitation.
Because you see actors, when you ever see Big Finish or radio actors, or you see people doing voiceovers for like animations, like Disney animations and stuff like that, and they're moving physically in the booth or whatever, so they use their body quite a lot sometimes. She'll probably be doing the same thing to try and generate that energy she had on screen. But I can't imagine being any better than it was on telly, though, honestly. But
one thing that got me about this as well, and the other thing I wanted to bring up as part of this conversation is Radio Times, as well as Doctor Who magazine, are really big supporters of Big Finish. And they're always going on about this is free publicity for Big Finish. All these stories and what have you. And I'm thinking, I mean, it's a good job the Radio Times is now an independent production, not the BBC, because surely they shouldn't be doing that. But they can now, of course, But why are they so intent? It's a franchise. They never mention the books. They never mention anything else, do they?
Have they got chairs?
probably, yeah.
I just think it's because who has said no. This is the one. This is the biggest one. These are our friends, and he's put a word in, as Moffat did, and Chibnall probably did.
Well,
But
he
I
did
think
save it.
there's a long way to go.
He did say it originally, didn't he? I remember the story. I think I said it many times before about Mal Young questioning it when they came back in 2005. He said, "Leave it with me, it's fine," and it got to continue because I think Big Finish thought in 2005 that would be it, But he was saved then as well, wasn't he? So
Yeah, but I do think it's something to do with the fact that the seal of approval is there.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying. And I don't think that's the way it should be, because it seems to me that everything they do has affected the audio range from that company.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So sometimes I think they're just doing stuff in Doctor Who, the television series.
It's when they're doing all these crossovers with New Who and Classic Who and all that kind of stuff. It's just, we don't want that. You don't want River Song meeting the first Doctor, for goodness sake. Please, no.
Well, this comes on nicely. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat. Keep your chats coming. I will come around to you anyway, because this week, did you see this? This was a love letter to their fans from Big Finish themselves. This is how they presented it. It makes me laugh, but anyway, bless them. So this is how they presented it with the wax seal. Very, very nice looking piece of social media. And then it goes into a really big letter. Have you seen this? Let's have a look together. Why supporting Big Finish directly matters. From the 2nd of July 2025, a love letter to our listeners. As passionate storytellers at Big Finish Productions, we're proud of our wide output of audio drama productions and ask that our listeners purchase them from us directly. You've discovered our vast universe of Doctor Who audio adventures, from Eccleston's triumphant return as the 9th Doctor to Whittaker's exciting new 13th Doctor adventures. The sheer volume of content can feel overwhelming and expensive.
Oh, yeah.
We understand the temptation to download pirated copies, but piracy harms us. Here's why choosing to support us directly isn't just the right thing to do, it's an investment in the stories you love. Every purchase fuels future adventures. When you buy a Big Finish audio drama, you're not just getting a story, you're funding the next one. Our average production timeline is 18 months from script development to release. That's 18 months of writers crafting intricate plots, directors and producers coordinating recording sessions, and sound designers creating those spine-tingling effects and soundscapes. Piracy breaks this creative cycle, making it harder for us to commission new adventures featuring your favorite doctors and companions. Supporting the talent you love. Every purchase directly supports the actors who bring these characters to life. When Tom Baker steps into the recording booth as the 4th Doctor, or when Billie Piper returns as Rose Tyler, they're not just reprising beloved roles, they're earning a living. Our productions employ dozens of people, writers, directors, sound engineers, musicians, and of course the actors themselves. Piracy undermines their livelihoods and makes it challenging to attract top talent for future releases. Quality you can't pirate. Big Finish audio dramas aren't just recorded and released. Each production undergoes meticulous sound design, professional mixing, and quality control that creates these cinematic experiences you love. Our stories come with exclusive artwork, behind the scenes, and bonus content, and liner notes you simply can't get from pirated copies. Plus, legitimate purchases give you access to our free audiobook player app, designed specifically for the optimal listening experience, exclusive content, and the community. When you purchase directly from us, you join a community of listeners who receive exclusive newsletter content, early bird pre-order discounts, and access to special releases. Our listeners get exclusive content that's never available elsewhere. Piracy cuts you off from this vibrant community and the special perks that come with being a legitimate supporter. Remember that term, vibrant community, in a few minutes' time, everybody. Money well spent. Because we sell our productions directly from our own website and ship them from our own warehouse, we don't have to give up a share of our income to a large retailer. This means that the money you spend goes directly into funding future productions and paying royalties to creatives. We're sure you'll agree that's a worthwhile investment. The completionist dilemma. We know, our listeners, you have that completionist mentality. You want every story, every variant, every special release. But here's the thing. Once our current CD stock sell out, we don't repress them. Pirated copies can't capture the collectible value or the satisfaction of owning authentic Big Finish releases. Your collection deserves to be legitimate. A small investment in big stories. From single stories for under £10 to box sets containing multiple adventures at a higher price, each purchase represents incredible value, hours of entertainment, professional production quality, and direct support for the creative teams. Compare that to a cinema ticket or a night out, and you'll see that Big Finish offers exceptional value for money. Legitimate ways to listen for free. If you want to listen to Big Finish audio dramas but are on a budget, there are ways to listen for free while still supporting us. Large selections of our back catalogue are available to stream at no cost on BBC Sounds, Spotify, and Amazon Music. We also have a collection of downloads available for free, which allows you to sample our newest releases before committing to buy them. The future depends on you. Every time you choose to support Big Finish directly, you're voting for more stories, more adventures, more of the characters and universes you love. Piracy doesn't just hurt us financially, it threatens the very existence of the stories that bring us all together. For the love of stories, please choose to support the creators who craft them. Thoughts?
Sound like they're in trouble.
Yeah. I think bizarrely they've got this kind of pre-order model, haven't they? Which is a really old business model in order to generate money to get pre-orders and stuff, and then they get that in, and they make the productions, or they make the productions on the promise of a pre-order. Which is an odd business plan, I have to say. Yeah.
I mean, they also talk about it's it's not as expensive as a night out and everything else. But if you go on a night out, you're not going to necessarily get preached to, are you? And
No.
they've got very preachy in recent years, haven't they? Pushing that agenda so they can keep close to who. And I think they've long since had their day. I really do.
Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe their license will come to an end and someone else got a chance to do it instead. That'd be quite nice.
Mm.
Yeah, well, maybe. I think,
whole thing. I think like the news. Sorry, JT, go on.
I was saying that when I was reading that, it took me back, Who Viewers, years. And in 1999, Big Finish went round all the Doctor Who shops that were around the time. Galaxy 4, the Who shop, 10th Planet, a couple of the others, I can't remember the name. And they allowed them to stock the CDs and cassettes of the stories so you could get them from said retailers.
Yeah.
The retailers did fantastically well. They did really well back then, especially with the Sirens of Time and onwards. They did really well. And I remember the time when the retailers told me it's coming to an end. They are going to be supplying them themselves. We will get them, but not initially. If you want to get it on day of release type thing, you'll have to go via Big Finish now. And I just thought, well, that's a nice slap in the face for you lot for supporting them and selling them for the last 4 or 5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And there used to be, when you wanted to order stuff from independent retailers, you had to go through a phone line in those days. And there was a woman called Brenda that used to do all the ordering.
Yeah. I've spoken to her a few times, yeah.
Oof. What was she like?
Yeah.
She was, and it depended what day of the week you got her on. She was either an absolute dragon or an absolute sweetheart.
Yeah.
I would imagine more people saw the dragon because she was very, wasn't she, Paul?
Yeah.
But one day I phoned up and said, can I just clarify, please? Is this what's happening? And she said, yes, it is. And it's basically, she said, this is the reason why, because the money has to come to us direct, or I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
And that's all it was about. It was just about control.
And that's a shame because I used to love, you're probably the same, JT, you go into Forbidden Planet or wherever to buy your Big Finish fix. And part of that experience was going shopping and buying the bloody thing. You know what I mean?
Well, mine used to come through from Galaxy 4 on the post because I was in London.
Right.
And they were in Sheffield.
Right.
But the memory was, I remember getting the Sirens of Time and thinking, oh, because that was the first time we'd had Peter Cullen and Sylvester in a story.
Yeah.
And if you remember Doctor Who magazine and everybody else were pushing it, this is approved by the BBC, and Big Finish was very keen on saying this is canon. Something I think they still do today to try and get the sales.
Yeah.
A lot of us fell for it.
Yeah.
But the big one I remember was the Monday night coming home from work, and Galaxy 4 had sent me a package, and it was the first Paul McGann one. It was Storm Warning.
Mm.
And I listened to all 4 of those episodes in January that year, 2000, I think it was. Or 2001, something like that, on that Monday night. And it was brilliant. So I actually quite liked getting them through the post. I didn't have to go to the shop because, I liked that. But now it's totally different. But it's all because it's all down to money again, Paul.
Do you remember they had, I think, when Sounds of Time came out, just before it was released, they had a little, Doctor Who magazine had a documentary about radio Doctor Who and Big Finish's origins and stuff like that. And a really lovely documentary on you got free on the front of the Doctor Who magazine at that time. It was a really interesting documentary.
It's probably still on the Doctor Who magazine, to be honest.
Yeah, there's little snippets from things like the Pescatons and some of the other BBC stuff, like the documentary, the Exploration Earth and Genesis and the Paradise of Death, all that kind of stuff. Then up to Science of Time, it was really interesting.
Yeah, lots of you in the chat talking about this.
When we were talking about them a couple of weeks ago with shutting down Mid-Journey, we referenced back to the Wilderness years when some of the people instrumental in setting up Big Finish were doing something. Was that the audio visuals? What were they doing?
Yes,
audio visuals.
Yeah.
Were they not? Could it not be argued that in doing the audio visuals, they were effectively ripping off the IP of the BBC, which is exactly what they're begging people in this letter not to
Yes,
do
that's
to
the
them.
hypocrisy of
But it
it.
was
Though.
non-profit making, though, wasn't it? That was the thing. So
Yeah. I mean, when I'm reading that, all I'm thinking is, do you remember those adverts we used to get on the VHS tapes, "Piracy is a crime," and that sort of that rock music that used to be on it? That's all I can hear now
yeah.
when I'm reading that. I understand what they're saying about the piracy. I would go mad if it was me and I had a business and they were being pirated. But I would also look from a business point of view as to why. They've mentioned it in there. They've mentioned
It's
it
too
in there.
expensive. That's what it
Cost.
is. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
just cost.
Yeah.
And they know it's cost, and they're coming out to justify it. You know, if we look at it again, there was a couple of other things there as well. You know, when you buy a Big Finish audio drama, you're not just getting a story, you're funding the next one. Then it goes into all the production things like this. The fact that, you have to pay your actors and all your staff. I think everybody's going to understand that.
Yeah.
But people are people, and Doctor Who fans are fans, and humans are humans, etc., etc. And if you've got a mate that can't afford one, you're either going to let them borrow your CD or you're going to copy it.
Yeah.
So I understand why they're frustrated. I totally understand this. And I understand why they've put out this plea saying, please don't pirate it. But I think they also need to say, we're doing too much and let's bring down the price. What do you think?
Well, I mean, they bring out so many monthly releases, it's really hard to keep track. And as I said in the article, we're all completists. So if you want to hear it and you like a certain era, like Paul McGann or whatever, Torchwood or whatever happens to be the range they're doing, it's just you can't keep up with it. So I think they should reduce what they're releasing and do less rather than more. That'd be much more satisfying as well, I think,
I mean, saturating the market is never a smart idea at the best of times, no matter what market you're in. But I think by acknowledging what fans are like or can be like and being completists and then pumping out this much production every month.
Content is called, yes.
Are they not deliberately exploiting that market, really? Oh, they're completists, so they'll buy it, so let's fleece them and pump out all this crap.
Yeah, lots of you in the chat with us as well with your opinions. Keep them coming. Dom goes saying to us, it's a fair point, but it's nothing unique to Big Finish. No, it's not. Doctor Who itself was getting it done with videos years ago. That's how many of us got them to see blooming episodes, because they were taping them off the telly in Australia and sending them over.
Or you're a contact of the BBC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Timescales are saying to us, Big Finish needs to stop their writers from bullying their customers on social media. That's one element, isn't it? That's one element they need to do. All alleged, of course, there. And Legion of James saying Big Finish prices have drastically gone up whilst the quality has gone drastically down, as has their content. They need to sort that out or people won't want to fund future guff. Now, that's great that you've said that, actually, Legion of James, because that's what I wanted to ask. They've tried, as what you guys have told me and Who viewers have told me and friends of mine who have stopped buying it have told me, they got fed up of the woke stuff, for want of a better word, the far left ideological nonsense being pushed into Big Finish. What the hell is going on with them? Why did they start to do that? And I think, Ian, you might have a point that they were trying to keep up with you-know-who. And go for that mystical audience that we all now know doesn't exist and certainly doesn't buy merchandise. Sheriff Brackett, I used to know your auntie. Cinematic, I always thought cinema had pictures.
Yes.
It's a good point. This leads me on to another piece from social media recently. And thanks to Shemp, the Lord Shemp S. Shempington, as I call him. Thank you so much for this. He did a lot of work for me here and sent this to me. So thank you so much, mate. But there was a fan that took to social media that wasn't happy. Let's see what you think about this. This is from, has it come up? Oh.
Not yet.
It's not come up. There we are. In regards to Big Finish facing problems, I do wish them well, as they have done a lot of excellent work. But this post from a friend of mine on the Hive sums up why they are facing problems, and whilst it may be somewhat direct and harsh, they'd be lying if they didn't see some truth in it. I'm sorry, says the fan, but Big Finish absolutely deserves to die at this point. It's a pity because they've done some excellent work over the years, and there are still some worthwhile releases even today thanks to the Lost Stories and Philip Hinchcliffe Presents ranges. But the bad now far outweighs the good. Its primary purpose since at least 2017, arguably 2015, has been to serve as a revisionist propaganda tool to force True Who and New Who into the same continuity by any means necessary, no matter how contrived and idiotic. Any newcomer to the series who tries to catch up on the lore from the Doctor Who wiki will be told that the Sixth Doctor regularly hung around with Jackie Tyler and River Song in between his televised appearances. The Fifth Doctor battled the Sylvine, and Beaver's master spoke about Jodie on his way to Traken. What? Briggs is also fully on board, excuse me, with the Timeless Child and By Generation, both of which are bound to feature more and more prominently as time goes on. It's such a disgraceful misuse of elderly cast members who sadly won't be with us much longer. A 90-year-old Mr. Tom Baker should be treated with more respect than to have his talents wasted on this nonsense. The fact that productions featuring original cast members are priced no higher than those starring mediocre hack impersonators like Jacob Dudman also strikes me as incredibly insulting. Plus, the company's output is only going to get worse over time. The remaining classic series writers like Mark Platt and Andrew Smith aren't getting any younger, and the only new writers Briggs is hiring are of the pink-haired pronouns in Bio Brigade who can't resist shoehorning vapid identity politics into their stories. Face facts, when it was Classic Who, you guys had a healthy and thriving business, but you sold out, hoping to get the millennial, hipster, Big Bang Theory era, geek chick, young crowd on your side in the mid-2010s. Then they were no longer the young crowd in about 10 years as they aged and moved on to other things. And the slop you twisted Doctor Who's entire identity slowly to pander to them has no appeal to either the next young crowd, Gen Z, or the old generation of fans, unlike Classic Who, which was timeless. Obviously, yes, it wasn't as mainstream as it had been in the 60s and 70s, but it always was able to find new fans nevertheless, including yours truly, who is a millennial, almost a Gen Z, as I was born in 1991. I grew up on Classic Who via video releases, and I loved it. Classic Who videos were also bestsellers in the 90s and the zeros. Think the same will be true of DVDs of Ncuti and Jodie and Capaldi for the next 20 years? Maybe get back to doing proper Doctor Who stories and not these stupid crossover, pointless spin-offs like River Song meets the Crotons. What? I'm not even saying don't do New Who stories, but keep them separate. Classic and New Who don't work together. They are too different, and the majority of Classic Who fans have zero interest in New Who revisions. I don't want to see River meet Susan. Those two characters have nothing to say to each other. I don't want to see Missy fight the McCoy Doctor, or Madame Kaverian hang out with Magnus Greel.
God. That is
Well,
desperate. Those links are serious. That's desperate.
Oh no, they are serious. That's the sad thing.
Are these actual things that they have done?
Well, they did one with I think it was River Song, the Crotons, and Jackie Tyler was with the Crotons as well, as far as I remember. Yeah, I don't have that one. I have to stress. I never bought that one. But the thing about it, what really annoys me is all this constant recasting of actors to play, like Sadie Miller playing Sarah Jane Smith, or Tim Treloar playing the Third Doctor, or John Coleshaw playing the Brigadier and the Ainley Master and the Delgado Master. The list goes on and on and on and on. And they never actually, when when Gary Russell was doing it, one of the things he said, we'll never recast anybody. And since he left, since he left, they've recast it every other week, just about, you know.
Yeah. Well, you hear about it all the time. I'm fed up with this.
Yeah.
I'm fed up with it, you know. But I think, firstly, to that gentleman that wrote that, you sound like us here on Who's Views.
Yeah.
So you'd like our channel, honestly, because we want to separate some of the new stuff from the older stuff as well. I call it proper Who, and then you can't even call it new now because it's 20 years old and it's finished. So it's not new, is it?
Dead Who, I think it's called.
Crappy Who.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think he's got some very valid points there. And I think he's absolutely right. I mean, like the television series, they got rid of their audience.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people, I left around about Zagreus time because I thought, oh my God. I did get the alternative universe thing, which they curtailed very quickly because for some reason they decided the McGann Doctor had to come back to this interview for 2005.
Why? I don't know, because they could have extended that. They've now done that, though. Since then, they've gone back into eras that were kind of at the time of Charlie and the Eighth Doctor. So they've kind of done that, which is really stupid. Why they bothered? The Doctor could continued as long as he wanted in the alternate universe thing,
Yes.
then done other adventures, because
Yes.
Eccleston and McGann weren't connected at all, for
Yeah.
ages. So,
But again, Paul, it's fans running the show.
yeah.
And again, like RTD and Moffat and Chibnall, all the dots have to connect. And they're not imaginative. You know, this is where it came. So I gave up around about, actually, I can tell you. Scherzo.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no, hang on. What's that say? The Next Life.
That's the last one, wasn't it? But I think Rassilon's in that one, played by Don Warrington, I think, in that one, as far as I remember.
I remember thinking, this has to get better, and it didn't.
Yeah.
And then I got bored. And I'm getting some of the other doctors at this point as well. I'm just like, no, this is getting too much now, because the prices were going up. It was coming monthly now as well.
Yeah.
So, but there would have been a lot of people that stayed with it, as we know, longer than I did. And good for them. But a lot of them have, a lot of people I know have said now they don't like the content. And I was horrified to hear that certain far left ideologies have been pushed now into Big Finish just as much as the TV show.
What they used to do, and the article kind of touched on it, they used to do this wonderful thing that they tried to recreate the Sixth Doctor's era or the Fifth Doctor's era, and it felt like 80s Who. And now they're trying to make classic McCoy and Colin more like now. And that's just, we don't want that.
Why?
Because who's that aimed at? Because the new Who fans aren't that interested in classic Who. We want classic stuff, so why can't we have it?
Well, even the Jodie Whittaker fans aren't interested in shooting that way.
No, exactly. Yeah,
because they're so hypocritical. They weren't going to stay around for the black guy.
Yeah.
Oh no, they just wanted the woman. If it had been another woman following her, they would have stayed, and they would have loved her just as much as Jodie. No, they've gone back to a fella. No, we don't want it. Not that they were buying lots of merchandise anyway.
No.
That's the way I look at it. Wow, says Daniel Raven. It looks like they think they're UNICEF or something. They've always had. They've always had an egotistical side, though, haven't they? Because they've loved being able to say we're the official license of audio drama. We are this. We are canon. We are that. You're not canon at all. You're another franchise like the books.
There's a bit that makes me laugh on each of the CDs now. It goes, I think it used to be Nick Briggs doing it, but now we have all the doctors doing it. It's got Big Finish. We love stories.
Yes, I've seen that. Yeah. Wow. Hi, Douglas Smith. How are you? And the Peter Veckman fan site saying these Twitter comments were definitely showing off the new audience. Well, we're going to come to that in a second as well, because they really do seem to have cultivated, and we've seen this before, just like the show, a really nasty fan base who are obsessed with the usual labels, pronouns, flag waving, uneducated, unaware, tick boxing ninnies, an awful lot of them. Fan 01-ish, piracy has always been an issue, I should imagine. The fact they're worrying about it now suggests they're losing support. All alleged, everything's alleged, of course. This is just people chatting, in case you're watching. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it means that they're losing support. I don't think they sell as much as they want to, but I think that's because they've got a very bad business plan and they're churning out all these things, desperately trying to find out what the next hit is, rather than concentrating on Tom, Peter, Colin, and Sylvester and Paul. That's it. They've had to go into the new series as well, thinking there's an audience. And
the thing is, though, there's so much quantity, there's no way they can keep up the quality producing so much of it. So they've got diminishing returns from that alone. You know what I mean?
But they're targeting a smaller audience anyway.
Yeah.
So you're aiming to sell it to fewer people, and when those fewer people don't buy it, your sales go through the floor.
Yeah. And Spiel saying to us, I love Big Finish since the beginning, but when they bent the knee to the TQ cult and sacked James Dreyfus, they crossed a line. That's where a lot of people started to disrespect them, and they know that was incorrect. The way they did it as well. And I'll stand with Jim. That was disgraceful. And that's when I hadn't thought about Big Finish for years, guys, to be honest. But then suddenly when this came out, I was like, what? What have they done? All because he signs a letter supporting J.K. Rowling. And that's it. And then
the
all
sad
these...
thing,
Go
the
on.
sad thing about it was he played the master, and he was really good. You know, missed opportunity. He was, yeah.
Well, I didn't hear him. I
Yes.
didn't hear him. I didn't. In fact, if I have played with this, I've actually played with buying a couple of them so I can hear Jim's performance, but I don't want to give them the money. And I
Yes.
certainly wouldn't pirate it because I'm honest, as boring as they come.
I mean, to be fair, he wasn't really my first choice to play the master. I was quite surprised when he was cast, but I really liked him. I thought it was really good.
He can play bad when he wants to.
But the bizarre thing, though, they had the master. He turns up in a William Hartnell story, well, a David Bradley story. So another recast there. And he's really good, but why the master's in it with the first Doctor, I don't know, because, you know, it doesn't really fit, you know. But
yeah.
No.
A couple of you saying that I can get things on eBay. I've got a course. I just don't. Call me old-fashioned. If I see it in a jumble sale, I might consider it if it's one of Jim's. But I'm quite like that. I'm quite like that with a lot of my vinyls these days. When I'm buying back Who Views all my vinyls, I won't buy them new because I'm now suddenly, for the first time in my life, aware of some of the artists and their opinions, and they inevitably clash with my own.
Yeah.
And I won't support them. But yeah, I agree with that Enspiel, and yeah, they did do that, didn't they? But that also was bending the knee to an awful lot, well, a small minority of loudmouth pronoun using. It shows you how dated this stuff has got, but they're still around and they're still poisonous. The timescales. Okay, this is a very good conversation. There's a few things I wish I could say about this, but better not. You can say anything you like, mate. Say anything you like.
Yeah, go for it.
Views. Tell us your views. That's what we like. It's all discussion. Yeah, if you want to do that, please do. Oh, look, here's Woodhouse 122, Third Doctor Ian. I bought the Sirens of Time in the Galaxy 4 shop at Broomhall in Sheffield as a twin cassette. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Happy times in there, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, the times we had there. That was a little community in itself as well, on Saturdays especially. It was lovely. Absolutely lovely. We used to go out to Longleat, or we'd go out to where, you know, Devil's End and all this sort of stuff. Happy days. We even went to the student union one night, even though we were all well over age, but that's another story for another show. Maybe. We've got a super chat there coming up. Let me just find that out first before I move on to the examples of the fandom, because I'm very, very, very worried about it. We've also got Space Force joining us. Hello, Space Force, Girl Force, JJ West fans. Nice to see you. Who will cross over with Trek next time? There's a big danger in doing that. Yeah. There's a big, you know, and it surprises me that Bogfanish haven't done that. To be honest,
they have branched out into other TV shows, though, not Star Trek. They do like Sapphire and Steel, they did Tomorrow People, stuff like that. So they have branched out to non-Doctor Who things.
Yeah, but they lost the license for all those as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
What did you say there, Ian? Sorry, I missed you.
If they crossed over with Star Trek, they would do something Cyberman-y / Borg. They'd have to. They wouldn't be able to help themselves, would they?
Yeah.
Well, what did that graphic novel do?
Was that the one with the Revenge Cybermen and Tom and Kirk and stuff? Was that one with Matt?
No, there was one with Matt Smith and Picard, wasn't there?
Okay, right, yeah.
Andrew Picard, are you in there? Are you a Trekkie? Can you tell us if you're in there? Chris Chatfield. Hi, Chris. How you doing? You know, if you listen to the Crotons Big Finish, do you have to put on your headset or you will be dispersed? Probably. And we've got this. Kate, thank you for your super chat, Kate. I bet there's barely any piracy, but they're claiming there is to excuse the drop in sales. Allegedly. Possibly. You know, we have to take them at their word, though, haven't they? They've put out a very nice letter there. And part of me does feel for them, because piracy, as we all know, it's very naughty.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Really naughty. I can understand, as they seem to do, why people are doing it, though. Maybe they should put things after a certain time, more free things down for people who can't afford them, because these are very tough times.
Will they do that sort of free first episode to make you buy the other 3 episodes kind of thing, you know, which is interesting.
Well, let's get into the fan base that they've cultivated, because, yes, again, like the TV show, it's not the fandom that I used to know. We're very lucky on this show that all of you guys are very sane. But you'll be very aware that there's an awful lot of people out there that aren't, that call themselves Doctor Who fans. And from my opinion, they're the ones we should be avoiding like the plague. Big Finish, like the TV show, seem to have them around. We've already heard of the instance that, a few of them started to mouth off over James Dreyfus for no reason at all. absolute nothing. They jumped on a bandwagon, got their misinformation incorrect, and went for it. And Big Finish bent the knee. Inexcusable. As a business, you should have turned around and said, what's the problem? And dealt with it as adults. But no, they were worried. They were frightened. They thought, oh, we might lose sales. How's that gone for you? It continues now, especially with this lady. This is apparently Lizzie Hopley. Now, I've never heard of Lizzie Hopley, but Lizzie Hopley has worked for Big Finish on a hell of a lot of stuff. Over 80 projects she's done for Big Finish, both acting, writing, the lot. Okay. And what Lizzie did, she had the nerve, believe it or not, everybody, she had the nerve to criticize Iman Khalif. Now, that name might ring a bell for you. Iman Khalif was in the Olympics. He was the fella that was in the women's boxing because he said he was a woman. He was identifying as a woman. And they allowed him and another fella to do so. So they were in the women's category. Guess what happened? They both won. They won medals. They beat those poor women to a pulp, basically. One of the women stopped very quickly saying, he's too strong. Allegedly. So from the 3rd of June, 2025, though, from a story on the bbc.co.uk, World Boxing sorry for naming Khalif in rule change. So this is fairly current and it's ongoing. World Boxing has apologized after Olympic champion Iman Khalif was named in the governing body's announcement of mandatory sex testing. It released its new policy last week and singled out that the Algerian, saying Khalif will not be allowed to compete in the female category of its competitions until the fighter undergoes the test. But World Boxing has told BBC Sport its president, Boris van der Vorst, has since written to the Algerian Boxing Federation to apologise after acknowledging that the athlete's privacy should have been protected. Khalif, 26, won women's welterweight gold at the Paris Olympics last year amid a row over gender eligibility. Khalif, along with Taiwanese fighter Lin Yu-ting, was disqualified from the 2023 World Championships by previous world governing body, the International Boxing Association, for allegedly failing gender eligibility tests. Khalif was cleared to compete in Paris by the International Olympic Committee, which stripped the IBA of its status as the sport's amateur world governing body in June 2023 over concerns how it was run. The IOC said competitors were eligible for the women's division in Paris if their passports said they were female. It's the usual nonsense. Now, if any of you want to go and look at this, that's a fella. Both of them. That's a fella. I don't want to be vulgar, but look at the shorts.
The thing about it is, though, if they are men pretending to be women, then what's the problem? You know, if you what you got to hide? You know, if you're not a woman, just have the test and be done with, and then that'll prove it all. So they're hiding something, aren't they? That's the thing.
We had the thing with the American swimmer as well.
Yeah.
What's his name? Who said he was a woman. And, now he's had his medal stripped as well. And there's been an apology to the women that were involved because, of course, he was beating the women because, of course, he's a man. Men are stronger than women. In sports, especially, these are facts. The women fighting that dude, Sedenspiel, stopped after 46 seconds, stating she has never been hit so hard and felt it's safer to concede. She was absolutely 100% right to do that because he could have absolutely have chopped her down.
Yeah.
And then Spiel said it was proven that IK is a man. Exactly. Graham wants to know, well, the world's gone totally mad. What a time to be alive. I know. Absolutely.
There was going to be a point.
Sorry?
I was just going to say there's going to be a point where a woman athlete is killed.
Yeah.
Well, now it's going the other way now. As Frankie Stanijet is saying, Leah Thomas for the swimmer, and so is our Kirsty. Thank you both very, very much. Yes, it is now going the other way because of what's going on over in America. It's having an effect all around the world where these idiots who are just following DEI quotas on a clipboard are being told that is nonsense. Stop it. So actually, they're saving women's lives now because they're taking it back and saying, well, hang on a minute, trans women should be in a trans woman category where they can fight each other. So that's two men fighting each other. And trans men can fight each other or race with each other in a trans men category. So that's women's, isn't it? The world's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And so is Doctor Who fandom. Because this poor woman who had no idea who she is, this lady here, Lizzie Hopley, did say something apparently. Now, I tried to find the X account, but Shempington said to me she was harassed for a day, then issued an apology, and now her X account has disappeared. Now, one thing you should never do with these lunatics is apologize, because they're the ones in the wrong. So, Lizzie, I'm sorry, darling. I hope you're all right, but you shouldn't have bent the knee like your employer did. And I'm wondering, on that case, did somebody at BF say something?
Yeah.
Was she advised?
Yeah.
But
sort it out. Otherwise, you're saying bye-byes. Yeah.
Possibly. But I'd just like at this point to remind all these idiots that here in the UK, the Supreme Court has laid down the common sense. A trans woman is a man. A trans man is a woman. It takes somebody who's same-sex attracted to be able to confirm that. Trust me. But it was too late. And as I was told, she was harassed for a day. And they are horrible. We've had some of it on this channel. I've had some of it over the last 6-7 years personally as well. I'm now used to it, and they can say what they like because they're in the wrong. As far as I'm concerned, they're just loony. But there are some that were nasty. But you were seeing it as a trans issue because you were literally parroting the narrative of her being a trans woman, when in actual fact, she's literally a CIS woman born female, which is it's not correct at the moment. So this fella here, obviously coming from that side of the political spectrum, look at these two. How do you expect anyone to take piracy complaints seriously when you use AI? Hire artists over Zionists, fire the transphobes, and develop some integrity, and you might be able to turn a profit. Your public relations are in tatters. There's no recovering from this without change. Another one, why do you hire Zionists? Another one, stop using AI. Stop hiring Zionists. These people are just so lovely, aren't they? They're in our fandom. Did the letter about employing Zionists get lost in the mail? You use AI and you hire transphobe and Zionists. Why would anyone pay for, I don't know if I can say that word, the F word, and the death of art? Another one, can you please acknowledge people's concerns about your continuing to hire transphobes and Zionists?
I wonder how many of these people actually buy Big Finish CDs or downloads, whatever. I bet they don't buy any of them at all. They're just there to stir up trouble.
What is going on with these people, though? I mean, I see these people and these idiots around. They are so violent. They are so aggressive, but they're completely thick. Do you think it's because they didn't live through the times we did when we knew who the enemy was?
Yeah.
We had
they need to show the spine to say what they mean. They're saying Zionists because they don't want to write the word Jews. That's effectively what they're not wanting to say. But when they conflate the term Jews, which is what they're saying, with the F word, that I think you're right, best not to mention it, then that is a huge insult considering what the Fs did to the Js in World War II. It's pretty damn sick, to be quite honest. But that typifies them, doesn't it? Because they are mentally ill and they deserve to be institutionalized, I think.
But there seems to be an awful lot of them, and they seem to be in our fandom all the time. I first became aware of it on that day in Wimbledon all those years ago when Whittaker was announced as the Doctor. And then I went onto social media immediately to say, oh my God, they've gone and done it. This is going to be disastrous, blah, blah, blah. And I got attacks from then on. And it's got worse. And as the TQ cult has got hold of my once community, the LGB, and enforced itself into it, I now get it from people I would have assumed once were on the same wavelength as me, because they don't seem to understand that they're being homophobic. But when you've got all these people coming out, and I genuinely don't understand this. I remember seeing on the news when I was a kid, the then Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, love her or loathe her, don't care. But there was a speech that sticks out in my head when she stood up in the Houses of Parliament and she said to everybody in that room, Britain does not stand with ists. And now I'm concerned that we've got an entire generation and some very far left idiots that don't understand that. We've seen recently Gatwa and Varada Setu on one of those very things. We covered it on the show. We got complaints about that, saying that we were on the wrong side. Really? Really? Why? Why?
I
mean,
genuinely think people like Gatwa and Setu and the people that support them, I just don't think they're very bright, really.
No.
They're just reactive to how they see world events interpreted. They don't understand any of the nuances behind it. They don't understand any of the facts behind it, and they often find facts inconvenient. So because it undermines the position that they're pushing from. And that goes right back to what you were saying at the start with those queers for Palestine, isn't it?
Oh.
It's why do they do it? They would be murdered if they went over there. There's no two ways about it. They would be murdered. And you know what? They should go. They should go because they believe it so much.
Well, as I say, if you're going to go over there and you're part of this ridiculously stupid group, save some money and get a one-way ticket because you're not coming back. But you know, the whole thing about this is I found out recently why these alleged for Palestine, apparently minorities attract minorities. So I thought about this more and I thought that's why they're all getting it wrong, because suddenly that's why heterosexual white men or white people in general are not looked at properly according to these lunatics, because they're not a minority. So a minority must represent and protect another minority. I've got these people in the country beginning with P. They're not a bloody minority, for heaven's sake. There's millions of them. They're all over the globe, and they're infiltrating certain things. Not all of them, of course, but I find it shocking that these idiots haven't. They just, oh look, there's a bandwagon. Let's jump on it. Let's fly this latest flag. You know, idiots, in my opinion, absolute idiots.
But like I said, I think they're very much there just to cause trouble. On that article, like I said, I doubt any of them have bought any Big Finish whatsoever, not about any Doctor Who. They're just there to start trouble. Like we get people on here coming in to try and put the boot in. They're just here to start trouble. That's all it is. It's like football hooligans who go along to a match just to beat people up and not even watch the football. It's like that, you know. It's that kind of thing, you know.
But the annoying thing is, Paul, from my point of view as well, I think some of these idiots that are talking like this to Big Finish, and the best thing you can do, Big Finish, and here's some free advice here: ignore them. That's not the audience that you should be after, quite frankly. And I know a lot of you will be tying in with all this because you're in show business and you're all far left and you're trying to keep in with various people. But have the balls to grow up, and you should know better. You are older. Look at the history. Look at the history of what has happened. And as I think I've said before, let's start with recent history, shall we? And let's revisit December 1988, when a ruddy grey plane fell out the sky on Lockerbie. Start there and then work your way through. 9/11, 7/7. Look at the bigger pictures. I can't believe this. As somebody that lived in London at the turn of the century when the IRA were bombing us every 10 minutes and then all this started to go off, you know. I just think this is a load of spoiled brats who haven't and don't know how dangerous things can be because all they see is minority. You know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm making sense. But I get frustrated.
Oh, you are. Yeah.
Marie UK, thank you for your super chat. These men went into women's boxing to fight women, but ended up fighting men anyway. What's the point?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, Marie, if there is an element of these fellas. They couldn't make it in their own sport, like Leah Thomas. So goes into the women and wins everything. Oh, look at me, aren't I brilliant? No, you're still a fella. You cheated in sport, you div. Work harder. Get a grip. I can't stand them, Marie, but thank you for your super chat. John Mason saying I'm a Zionist. We have a lot of viewers on this channel that are, and welcome. God, I miss Joan Rivers. Let's face it, the Legion of James. If they are, let's face it, if they are not fans, just like every other fandom they have infested, they are only infiltrating to push their hate, prejudice, and agenda, targeting successful franchises for the platform. Well said, Legion of James. You know, well, I do. That's what happened with the TQ cult. A lot of these brats are alleged activists. I can tell you from my experience as an activist in the 80s and 90s, they're not. They're hacks, much like a particular writer. They've got no clue. They've created a world of problems, and the rest of us now of a certain age, or those of us with common sense in the middle of politics, are turning around saying, you are insane. And they don't like it because they're trying to dictate to us how we must think, how we must speak, how we must be. That's a dictatorship.
But that's why RTD is so angry, isn't it? Because people aren't listening to him and doing what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But these are the very ones that complain the most about what they perceive to be hate online, and they're the biggest peddlers of it.
This is the point Paul Rose is putting out here. Pathetic, JT, isn't it? I saw a post the other day saying, why do straight men have a problem dating a trans woman? By dating, we go a little bit further, don't we? Because we're not gay and it's weird and unnatural for you. Had about 15,000 comments back. I bet you did. I have the same thing, Paul Rose, when I'm talking about why a same-sex attracted man will not date and therefore ... a trans man, because the trans man has a vagina. That is heterosexuality. It's not homosexuality. I can't believe that these people are crazy enough not to realize common sense.
It's utter madness. It really is.
It's incredible madness. It's incredible madness.
Mad to think that in 2025 we're talking about this, aren't we?
I can't believe it, Ian. We've gone back 40 years and our politicians in our country are weak as water. Have you seen how many of them are in the government waving that bloody flag, supporting the other side of the wall thing? And by the flag, I mean the TQ cult thing at Pride this weekend. They haven't a clue. So there is supporters and they're homophobes. And they think, oh, look at us, we're being virtuous, so we're being clever. You're bloody not. I'd love to get them on the show and talk to them and explain to them why they're wrong. And just say, look.
They wouldn't be able to engage in a conversation, though. They wouldn't be able to engage in a debate. They'd get shouted, they'd get insulting, and then they'd disconnect.
Yeah. They just call you a
You know
fool.
that. Yeah, you know that. They'd just throw insults, and they certainly wouldn't. I don't think they have the intellectual capacity to think, really.
Lots of you in the chat, so thank you so much for this. Keep all your comments coming. I'll try and keep up with you. How Doctor Who fan 001 is saying, how can you be a transphobe if there's no such thing? Everything's transphobic. A blade of glass grass is transphobic, I tell you. Yeah, I mean, what we need with politicians in our country now is somebody with backbone and somebody with the balls to turn around and say, you lot are crazy, I'm going to put you in a padded cell.
Yeah.
I mean, there was very reluctant ruling that's come out recently, wasn't there, about a certain group out there, you know, desecrating the streets. And then they go, show business is for that. Now, I'm not saying I actually agree with that because I believe in free speech, but I do think they crossed the line. But part of me is also saying, well, they have a right to talk about their crap, but I think there needs to be balance, and I don't see the balance. I don't see the other side of it. All I see from BBC,
they can talk about their crap, JT, as long as we can have an opinion alongside that. That's what we should have, and we can't have that. We get shut down and told whatever we are, you know. So it has to have that balance, and that's what we're talking about with Russell's writing as well. There's not any balance in that because it's just one-sided. That's it.
Yeah. And that shouldn't be in Doctor Who either, should it?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Free speech means that people can say whatever they like, no matter how distasteful. You don't incite violence, but they can say whatever they like. No question about how unpleasant it is, because the weight of public opinion coming back and the comments back will regulate that. But what I think the reason that they prescribed that particular organization and labeled them as terrorists isn't so much what they were saying. I think it's because they broke into a military base and attacked military equipment and put 2 airplanes out of action. And I think that is effectively what would be classed as terrorist activity, in which case prescribe them absolutely. And you know what? If the person in charge of that RAF base, if she had done her job properly, instead of not concentrating on her degree in gender studies or whatever it was, because it certainly wasn't anything military, she should have made sure that the guards were secure. The guards were securing that perimeter, and those people that broke in should have been challenged, and if not stopped, they should have been shot. The end.
Are you serious? Is this true?
Yes.
I didn't know this.
If you're talking about that group that the initials are PA, they broke in and they damaged the engines of 2 Voyager jets, RAF Voyager jets. I mean, the RAF security at that base was ridiculous. You know, it should have been, especially in today's climate, should have been patrolling armed guards with dressed weapons, live ammo, and they should have been challenged. And they got in, they filmed what they did, and they got out. And that was it. And they were picked up later. They should have been challenged. And if they hadn't stopped, warning shots. And if they hadn't stopped, Shoot
The
them.
problem we've got now is
The
that
military
unfortunately,
base, you're allowed to do that. You are
yeah,
not breaking the
because
law
it's
by
private
doing that.
land. Yeah, the problem is we've
Oh,
got
they left them like
all our
Swiss cheese, you know.
all our public servants have been unconscious bias training, so
Yeah.
they don't look at that now because they've been told that they're the ones in the wrong. That's what unconscious bias training is. Oh, you're white, you're in the wrong. That's what it is. It's absolutely shocking. Thank you very much. I just want to say to Care Avon, it's good to hear from you. It's good to hear from you. Thank you for your point here. Care Avon is saying we lost family in the Lockerbie incident back in 1988 and had to do an essay the following year on how it affected the close family and friends. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. It's not an easy subject to talk about, but yeah, it's good to hear from you. And I'm so sorry all these years later.
Yeah.
It's not forgotten here in Scotland by many, many people, I can assure you, especially the residents of Lockerbie. It's never forgotten. It will never be forgotten. But it's good to hear from you, and thank you for that. I really appreciate that. There was something else I wanted to show you as well, and I'm not really interested now, but this is somebody that we've spoken about before on the show, but never named names. And you all know this person, but I was so annoyed about this one because this is another bandwagon jumper. And this was on X from this idiot. Deeply disappointed to see another big Finnish creative, in this case Lizzie Hopley, share unhinged transphobia on Twitter. Also baffling to see her delete those tweets this morning with no apology or owning up to the fact she took part in spreading dangerous misinformation. You bloody idiot. What's dangerous information about the truth? What is dangerous misinformation? This fella as well, I don't know him. I'm not interested. I don't watch all this stuff. I don't care, right? Because we wouldn't get on. So what's the point in winding myself up with this? But I've heard about this person from various people. And again, he's one of these far left ideological people who's just been totally misinformed. What is wrong with these people in fandom? And why do they think they rule the roost? And what gives them the right to be so nasty to other people who hold a different opinion to them, especially when the opinion is correct? So to him, I would say a trans woman is a man and a trans man is a woman. Get over it and stop flying the flag. The reality is there. We don't have to bend the knee to the ideology to be nice to people. It's common sense. Not that I think you've got any.
Will be reviewed on his show, probably the next show he
Who
does.
cares?
But
Who
I'm
cares?
just saying that,
No,
just looking for
these
that.
spoiled
Yeah.
brats, they
Yeah.
deserve. I mean, it was very obvious that nobody around them when they were children put them over the knee and gave them a good slap,
Yeah.
which we had to say, no, you're wrong, you know. But again, it's been nurtured in Doctor Who as well, hasn't it, from all this far left nonsense?
So I missed that. Ian. What did you say?
I'm petrified already.
Yeah, I thought you might be. No, what it means, I think you will review us and criticize us, and we'll have all the usual adjectives to describe us. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
I am so used to that. I have had that for years from the TQ cult.
But you know full well, don't you? You know full well that we may well get all these things said about us and everything else, but you also know full well that if he met you face to face, he wouldn't say them. He would just evacuate his bowels. Probably.
But yeah, they all would, because I know the history better than them, because I was there. I was on the front lines for LGBT rights in the late 80s, through the 90s, and at the turn of the century. I know with my own eyes what was going on. I know whom I marched with. I know whom I saw. And I didn't see RTD on any of them.
No.
You know, and I didn't see any transgenders because they weren't around. I don't care what people are saying. I've had this conversation today on social media where some fellow of my age said, oh, we did have them. Transvestites are not transgenders. And we had transvestites around. But the first transgender I met must have been, and I mean transgender as in going through those incredibly painful operations and all the life-enhancing, life-changing, drugs. I didn't meet her until 2004, 2003, a long time, you know. Heretic, thank you for your super chat. I can't stand him. Unhinged guy calls another unhinged. I just don't understand how these people can be so nasty and get away with it, really, you know, especially when it's down to ideological theory. A lot of it. Let's have a look at the TQ cult, because I know a lot about that. It's theory. It's not fact, it's theory.
It's fantasy, a lot of it, to be fair.
A lot of it can be. But if it's going to look at this, I'll tell you, you're being a real homophobic person. I can tell you that. Absolutely. But who cares? Who cares? But that's... yeah, Jane Smith saying, "Oh, JT, you're not allowed to discipline children anymore. It might damage their self-esteem, of which they have far too much. That's the problem." Jane, you know full well that, certainly when I was a kid and I said something wrong or I did something wrong, I either got a look from either my mother or my father or my grandfather or any of the adults that were around me, which scared the hell out of me.
That's all you needed, yeah.
Or, on the very rare occasions, I got a tanned behind and I never did it again. I was a good boy eventually, but I think it's shocking.
Sorry state. It's a sorry state.
Yeah. It is. And they're just so assumptive. The other person they got at this week, believe it or not, is a gentleman called Tom Spilsbury. Tom Spilsbury. Now, he was on something called the Gallifrey Database, whatever that is. And he was having a conversation with other people.
You make it sound a bit like Tinder, to be honest.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, sorry. But yeah, they were having a conversation on this thing, of which I've got details here. My guess, said Mr. Spilsbury, and it is just a guess, is that it will be 5 or 6 years before we see anything new. So obviously the conversation here is about when Doctor Who will come back, at which point it will be the children of 2005 who will be bringing the show back, God help us, just as Russell predicted. As ever, time will tell. Second thing he said in the conversation, I suspect the show will indeed come back at some point, but as of right now, nothing is commissioned and nothing is guaranteed. Those are the facts. Time will tell, of course, but I don't get the sense of much optimism for anything very soon from anyone I've spoken to. Let's see. Question obviously come through, who have you been talking to, etc. He's responded, talking to people. You can guess who. And also, everything is moving much more slowly in television at the moment. On the assumption that Disney doesn't renew before its option officially expires, that will be the point when the BBC can start to shop the show around. And that process could take a fair bit of time. It may require more than one partner just to raise the money needed. Potential partners who may have some very specific requirements or stipulations. They may need to go back to people who they have turned down last time. Have you noticed how more productions have needed multiple backers just to make them viable these days? Yes, the BBC could go for the ultra-cheap in-house version of the show, but I really don't think that's as viable an option as it used to be. The license fee simply hasn't kept up with the inflation over the past few years. And then there was this one, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I can live with that. I'm just offering a perspective based on my knowledge and real-life conversations with people who do actually know a thing or two about television. Let's see. If it all happens more quickly than that, I'll be delighted. So basically what Mr. Spilsbury here is saying is everything that we've been saying.
Yeah.
But by God, they went after him.
It seems a rational thing to say, though. He said it's a theory. He's not saying it's fact. So why would people get upset about it? I don't understand. It's crazy.
You used the word rational, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They don't do rational.
They don't do
No,
rational.
they don't, because they're all emotive plonkers, aren't they? It's all emotive.
Yeah.
And this is what I've been saying for quite some time now. These are the fans that I'm actually genuinely concerned with, because when the BBC announces that the thing has been pulled, I think some of them may actually be in danger of harming themselves in some way.
Yeah.
Because they won't be able to take it. I mean, we had nothing with the Take That meltdown. We have nothing with the Oasis meltdown, or the original ones back in the day. The Spice Girls meltdown. I don't think that will touch or scrape the surface for what could be coming. And I think that's why the BBC needs to be honest. Now, from what Spilsbury's saying there, is that they can't say anything until after the war with this Fish People thing. That show. Because that's still a Disney production. So it's going to have to be after that something's announced, surely.
Well, it depends what the options they have. Like Tom's saying, it's kind of... it might be like the Paul McGann situation all over again, with the rights issues being sorted out because they've got whatever they've got in terms of the deal that they had when they first took on Disney. So we don't know how long that will have to be renegotiated, what options they have, that kind of thing. So it could take a while.
It could take a while. Yeah. It could take a while. Yeah. lots of you in the chat talking to us at the moment. Philip, I just want to see that Quentin Crisp was the first I heard of trans. Quentin Crisp was a gay man. He wasn't transgender.
He wasn't trans, no.
He wasn't trans. And by trans, this is the other thing about it. They keep saying trans now. They've truncated it. Stop it. It's transgender and transvestites. Transvestites are not transgender. They're just usually heterosexual fellas who like to dress up in their missus' clothes and go out and call themselves Marjorie. Okay, that's all that is. And then they've also got, you know, the transgenders, which are the people that are putting themselves through a hell of a lot of procedure. That's the huge thing. So it's not the same thing at all. But yeah, thank you for that, Philip. I saw that and I thought, oh, I better just say that. Maybe he talked about it. I don't know. I can't remember.
I do remember. I remembered a program. Thought it was earlier in the 70s, but it wasn't. I've just had a quick check, and there was a BBC series in 1979. So it was called A Change of Sex, and if I can say that word, and it was first broadcast in 1979, and it's a documentary that followed Julia Grant's transition from male to female. I remember this program at the time.
Yes, Julia Grant. It's a name. Yes, I remember Julia Grant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember the credits at the end. I think did basically this person was very brave to throw themselves open to this, because there was like photographs of them standing there literally naked and gradually becoming a female body. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think at the end of the day, that was probably would be gender dysmorphia, wouldn't it, at the time?
Well, I think a lot of gender dysphoria is around with these people as well. But now, of course, we've got other open things where it's been proven, thanks to the Cash report, which everybody on that side seems to ignore. Not one of them, I would have thought.
I don't recall any others since then until we've got into the 21st century.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. But you know, Julia Grant was very, very brave to do that, and that was the start. Yeah. But you know. It was fascinating, but Julia Grant, as far as I'm aware, never said that she was part of the LGB community, because we didn't have the team and didn't have the queue in Forceps until recently. Yeah. Jane Smith saying to us, the BBC can't start formal negotiations with anyone until or unless Disney officially pull out. Surely that's obvious. Yes, I would have thought so. Yeah, and we've still got this fish people thing to do. They pay for that. Yeah. So this is why Russell, back to the interview he said for Your Manchester, which we talked about earlier, he wouldn't answer the question about Doctor Who's future when he was asked about what Billy was. I don't know, and he's trying to make fun of it. Yeah. But that's why it's shallow, and that's why it's completely hollow, because he's just trying to get out of the question. So why he went on the show, I don't know. Well, I think it's because he likes being interviewed, to be quite honest.
I think the same thing's happened. Billy's been doing the convention circuit recently, and she's been doing similar things, hasn't she? Just doesn't say anything really. So because they can't, because it doesn't really exist, does it? Nothing exists, you know.
Yeah. No. Well, that's because it's not. He might have ideas for 3 and 4, as we've reported on the show, in his head, but keep them in his head. And I think any future of the show, as we're all saying here on the show on Whose Views, it can't be with him. It has to go.
Yeah.
100%.
We are in sad times at the moment, everybody, aren't we? But when it comes to things like Big Finish, do you reap what you sow? Like the TV show, you guys wanted this particular fan base, this particular audience. I hope you're happy with yourselves, because they are extremely nasty. Yeah. I can tell you, any decent fans like us, and including all our friends in the chat there, we don't want anything to do with them, and we're certainly not going to supplement anything to do with them, especially financially. So good luck to you. That's all I'm saying there. Maybe have a look at your business plan. I would recommend as well. Say, stop churning out so much stuff.
Yeah.
Try and put the credit there. Anyway, we should
all go for quality rather than quantity. That might be the question we're asking, I think. Yeah.
Exactly. Domko saying to us, I'm not sure I would call an appearance on Your Manchester as being in the limelight. Well, I think it's their highest viewed episode on the channel.
Right.
But don't forget, in Manchester, RTD, especially unfortunately on Canal Street, is a bit of a legend because of what he did from 1999 and continually ever since.
There was a picture you showed of Belinda and Russell in it wasn't Belinda's front room, it was a pub, wasn't it, judging by the chairs? Yeah,
I think it's actually a studio. It could be in Salford Keys.
Okay. The chairs look like they just come straight from the pub, though. You know what I mean? They look like bar stools they're sitting on.
Probably
So
are.
If
You
that's
know,
probably
they
a,
are.
a bar on Canal Street they're in, and they've just taken a corner of the bar and set it up to look like a studio, you know?
Oh, it could be. It could
Yeah.
actually be.
If
You know,
Yeah.
if you painted out the back of that chair on RTD, I could believe that picture a little bit more with the thing just going straight up.
dear.
I'm
He's
being
from your
very crude
Yeah,
there,
no,
but I don't
yeah.
care.
yeah. Well, listen, that's been a great show tonight. Some other stuff that we've managed to get off our chest, but thank you so much for joining us. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. If you're not new to the channel, please make sure you are still subscribed. This is Whose Views. This is where you're going to get British common sense. This is where you're going to get an adult viewpoint, and you're all very welcome. Just before people start to harass us, because I'm sure that's on the way again. But listen,
no
don't
doubt.
bother. Save your energy. I don't care. Genuinely don't care. Right. Having said that, thank you very much, everybody. Great to see you. To Third Dr. Ian and to Paul, thank you so much for tonight's show. Great conversation, everybody.
Thank you.
Really
Great
enjoyed it. Daniel Raven's just saying to us that hurrah for British common sense. And Domgo is saying, I love this channel. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you for your ongoing support. Yeah, British common sense is sadly disappearing on a daily scale. But luckily, I'm of an age where it won't do with me. Won't speak for these two, but yeah, they're the same.
Same.
Yeah, me too, yeah. Common sense rules, or it should do. Yeah.
And hopefully one day it'll come back when people start to bring up their children properly. Thank you so much for being with us. We will be back very soon here on the channel. If you're interested in Blake 7, we'll be here tomorrow, 8 o'clock on the channel. If not, we'll see you for any of our future shows over the next week. From Ian, from Paul, and from myself, thank you to Kirsty and Legion of James who have been in the chat as well. From all of us, look after yourselves. Leave us a comment, a nice one, and we'll see you soon. Ciao, everybody. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.